Happy draft day. Welcome to the Dr. Roto live draft podcast with myself, Sam Holt, and Derek Tate. As always, I love that we get to do this. It's been, 3 years in a row now that we get to talk rookie drafts?
1, 2, 3. I mean, third time's a charm, right?
2022. Let's go.
Just getting better with age. Here it is. At least that's how I'm telling myself. So,
I think
except for my hairline. Exactly. My hairline's not getting much better. But 2022 NFL draft. Let's go. Come on.
Let's freaking go. I am so excited that we finally get to talk rookies. Like during the off season, before they have their landing spots, I'm always hesitant to get too excited because I feel like if I put it out into the universe that I want said player on said team for fantasy purposes, it's just dooming it out of the existence that I actually want it to be. But today we get all our questions answered. Where are the quarterbacks landing? The wide receivers? Right. Is there going to even be a running back drafted in this first round? So many question marks.
So what's kind of interesting is that we normally have like these big draft, episodes like leading up to the draft. We've saved all of the draft talk for the NFL draft. We're organically experiencing this together. We're going to talk about these guys together. And really, we get to skip all the speculation and, over analysis and stuff of that nature. So I'm actually really excited to jump into it just to find out finally what the answers to the test are as where some of these prospects are going to be landing.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like this is going to be one of those drafts too, unlike last year where we saw quarterback movement all across the board, trades really early. It was all this hype. Mm-hmm. This is a quarterback class that's going to have, I think, some hesitation before we see the first one come off the board. I know that for myself, I'm hoping that my Steelers take Malik Willis at 20, but does it stay quarterback silent until 20? Or is there someone going to be taken sooner? Is there going to be a team that trades in? The Rams just released this crazy movie trailer ad where they basically said they were going to steal the draft. Are we going to see them show up? Because they're not on the guest list today.
No, they're not on the guest list. And they've already kind of like cashed in their vouchers to be able to arrive at this dinner. And they cashed it in to be able to get Matthew Stafford and Jalen Ramsey and a whole host of other players, which produced a Lombardi trophy, so it was worth it. But it's kind of like that person that trades all their future picks in a dynasty league and they won a championship, but they still can't get enough. So they're already dipping into their like 2025 like first round picks. So yeah, that's what it feels like if the Rams were to trade into the first round tonight.
It would definitely be a sneak attack and not something that any of us are anticipating. Do you think any other team is going to make a sneaky move into this draft? I mean, we're missing 8 teams.
Are we talking like you're talking like maybe the end of the first round, kind of sneaking
maybe
in?
Someone sneaks in. I could see. I've heard a lot of talk about teams trading out and trading down to get more draft capital because they're missing those second and third round picks. So, teams that are obviously vacant and not present today would be the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Niners. There's a lot of Deebo Samuel talk. So could we see them show up for some crazy reason? The Colts also missing. Broncos just grabbed Russell Wilson. So they don't seem to have many needs. I think they can post up in their recliners and happily not need to rush into the draft today.
Well, the interesting one would probably be the Chicago Bears to me because you look at who they have to throw to for Justin Fields, and it's like Darnell Mooney, and that's it. So, in what is a deep wide receiver draft, could they fall in love with one of the top flight prospects and maybe trade into the back end of the first round? The Kansas City Chiefs have 2 first-round picks. So do the Green Bay Packers. I don't know if the Packers will deal with within the division, but the point is, could they sneak into the back end of the first round and maybe nab someone like George Pickens? Maybe. I would say maybe the Bears. They traded up twice last year, and it didn't really pay dividends. But I think they'll double down. Why not? I'm going with Chi-Town. Give them a little something to get excited about there in the Windy City.
I think they need something else to get excited about. They definitely had a shift this offseason. They just need some more positive juju to happen in that locker room just to keep the spring in their step, on to newer, better things. Justin Fields is going to be fine this year. Let's do nothing but positivity for them and put that into the atmosphere.
Have you ever been to Chicago?
I think I drove past it once, but it was cold, so I didn't want to go in.
you can't blow smoke up Chicago Bears fans' ass. Like, you can't. It's just you can try. That might be fun, but the wind will blow that stuff right away, and they see right through the smoke. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the Chicago Bears, though, they got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of work to do. The New York Giants have 2 picks in the first 7. The New York Jets have 2 in the first 10. So the 2 New York teams, it's kind of, I mean, it's sad when your most exciting day is draft day. I've been there as a Bucks fan for a long time. I'm going to be back pretty soon once Tom Brady actually does retire or leave the city of Tampa Bay. Whenever that
I
really
know.
does happen, but the
When
Giants,
that
the
one
Giants and the Jets, they're going to have a fun day today.
They are going to have a very fun day today. They're amongst the teams that have multiple picks in this draft, which is super exciting. Thank you guys all for tuning in. If you have any questions, comments on the draft, please throw them in the chat for us, and we will get to them as quickly as we can. We do also have several fun guests that are be joining us today, so they'll be hopping on intermittently throughout the draft podcast. So please tune in for that. Our first guest coming up is going to be Tommy Moe from the Undroppables, so I'm excited to have him drop in with us. And what's fun about him is he's actually a neighbor of mine. He lives in Lakewood too. Isn't that crazy?
What?
I know. I was like, not to be creepy, but what are your cross streets? He's literally like 2 miles away from my house. It's so small world.
That's pretty sweet. I mean, you guys like, wait, hold on. This is now I'm playing in leagues with you. Now I think it's you may be getting an unfair advantage. I need to have a talk with him about this.
I know. We'll have to save it for when he hops on the show. But I also just want to kind of, kick this off with who we think is going to go number 1 overall. I think there's a lot of speculation with Aiden Hutchinson. He's an absolute beast of a man. I don't think it would be a bad move for the Jaguars to get him. He is one of those position players that franchise player.
Yeah, look, I think he's the best, most complete prospect in this draft. I think I have him at the top of my board, but certainly it's not such a runaway, right? It's not like Jadeveon Clowney as far as like, the perfect quote unquote prospect or like Chase Young. He's not like a top flight runaway with the number 1 overall pick, or as far as like the best edge rusher in this draft. Trayvon Walker is certainly a great prospect out of Georgia, and there's a lot of talk about the Jags taking Trayvon Walker number 1 overall, and Trent Baalke apparently is a big fan of him, and we'll see who wins that battle between him and the front office, whether they actually believe in Trayvon Walker going number 1 overall or if it's Aiden Hutchinson. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Jags do at the top of the draft.
Definitely. And speaking of Tommy Moe, I want to jump over to him because he has joined us over from the Undroppables. Thank you so much for coming on.
What's going on? How's it going, guys?
Good. I was just telling Tate that you and I are pretty much neighbors.
Yeah, really close, like surprisingly close. But still haven't like met up in person yet, but stoked to be here in Long Beach. And beautiful weather today. It's a great day for the draft.
I know, right? It's gorgeous weather. I had to switch into shorts because, I was doing lazy afternoon getting everything ready for the show. And I was like, I'm going to be sweating by the time the draft comes on. I have to be throwing on shorts because it's just so nice and sunny out. We don't want to talk too much about the weather because it'll make Derek really jealous because he's in Michigan.
Well, jealous is one word, upset's another, but that's, whatever you guys want to label it as. But yeah, keep talking about your beautiful Southern California weather while I'm wearing long sleeves indoors while it's still like 30 degrees here in Cadillac, Michigan. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I did our podathon last year from my pool. It was like that. It was that nice weather. So it's not as warm as it was last year. So it's actually really nice. But I can't believe it's already here. I feel like the draft kind of snuck up on us. I just feel like I've been grinding tape and watching a bunch of prospect film for the last few months. And like all of a sudden it's here, and so excited because it's just like Christmas for us fantasy football fans.
It truly is because, we're always at the end of the season, there's a low. We're waiting for, okay, now we have to wait for next season. And then free agency hits. And normally free agency, it's like, okay, there's a few moves. But this free agency was absolutely on fire. This was the kind of free agency where you look at the menu and it's got like 5 chili peppers. And you're like, why do they even serve this? It's too hot. Like, I can't handle this. It's too spicy.
Yeah, it was crazy how much happened and then how much like I feel like we're still kind of waiting to happen. Like there's still been all this talk about all the receivers, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, where are these guys going to land? Debo, like it's really nuts. And I think like there's after this draft, after this weekend, there's still going to be so much more to go on with free agent signings and people still moving. I feel like as crazy as it was, like we haven't seen the last of it.
Definitely. And we were just talking about Aiden Hutchinson maybe going number 1 overall. Who do you think is going to go number 1 overall? Is he on your list or do you have someone else?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Tate where it's like I feel like it could be and it maybe should be, but I think, what the Jags are going to do, who knows, and I really think they probably should try to trade back if they haven't already tried. Um, but either way, I think you can't really go wrong with any of those edge rushers. If that's where it's going to go, that's some of the mocks I've really been that I really trust have been showing that's going to be a lot of edge rushers and just linemen going early. We're not going to get I don't think we're going to get a ton of fantasy relevant skill players going, but I think if it's either between Hutchinson, Thibodeau, or Walker. I think at that point you're splitting hairs on the difference between those guys. I think they're all so good and have such great profiles and how they could project for the NFL. I think they're all fantastic. So honestly, if I had one of those top 3 picks, I'd hate to make that call because you definitely don't want to be wrong. But it's hard to say like what's the wrong pick there. I think with either 3 of those guys, you're probably pretty solid. If you're really looking for an edge rusher, those are the guys to go after.
I mean, even when you're looking at if you're going to the defensive side of the football, I think you can make a case, with some of the issues the Jags had in the secondary that you could even add Derek Stingley Jr. or Sauce Gardner. I mean, there's a lot of top flight defensive talent that I think can come in and make an instant impact on day number 1. But I do agree with you. We're splitting hairs. I mean, I think you're choosing between 3 right answers between Walker, Thibodeau, and Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, you start rankings are such a huge thing, right? Everybody wants to know what your rankings are and like where people fall on your board. So what are the separators for you when you're trying to come up with these top 5 lists? What do you value as far as like tiebreakers when you have a bunch of talented guys that are all going to make an instant impact, but how do you decipher? Is there a tiebreaker that you have?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who it was on Twitter that was trying to look at, and it might have been David Wilsey, or David Zach. It was trying to look at all of the interviews and trying to place a ranking or try to use the interviews to really say like who's the best guys, right? Because I feel like we can look at all the talent, we can look at all the stats, all the metrics, we can grind all the tape and crunch all the numbers, but especially when you're looking from an NFL perspective, right? And it's not fantasy, and it's like who's going to produce, who's going to be the best investment for my team. I think you do have to start to look at some of those interviews and how those guys, their personalities, and the intangibles, the stuff that isn't really going to show exactly on tape. And like Malik Willis is a great example of that, where, at the combine, there was tape of him like giving clothes to a homeless guy on the street. Everything that Malik has done has been doing the right thing, right? So he's doing all those other intangibles to show that he is a high prospect besides what he's put on tape. And so, I think lately, in the past few years, especially, I'm a big Raider fan, so we've been victim to it of like just the wrong guys making wrong choices in Las Vegas, and I think no, absolutely, go for it. I crap on my own team all the time because of that, because you're starting to see it's more than just how good of a football player this guy is. Is this guy really someone we want to invest in as a business for the long term? Someone that we can trust to be a good player, be a good example for the team, good representative of the NFL and the Shield. We know how important that is, right? So I think you have to start looking at all those other things that are not on tape. And for us, like normal people, we don't get the luxury of having that in-depth, one-on-one conversations. We're just, whatever we can find on YouTube or some clip of some interview of someone talking at the combine. That's what we have to start looking at. And I don't know regarding their personal life. I don't know a ton about Kayvon Thibodeau or Hutchinson or Walker, but I haven't heard any negatives, right? I haven't heard like, oh, this guy could be a huge issue, a huge liability, or like Bo Callahan in the Draft Day movie, like no one came to his birthday party. Like, why is that? Like I haven't heard that.
Those are the questions we need answered.
Right.
Whose
That's
birthday had the most attendance? This is important.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And so that stuff matters. And especially when you're looking at these top guys, and it's funny because I know, as we just said, like all the these top 3 edge rushers at least could all be fantastic, right? But I'm sure in a couple of years we're gonna look back and be like, why were these guys so close? Because one of them was terrible, but I would hate to be the guy having to make that decision to pick who's going to hit out of these 3 guys. Hopefully it's all 3, right? But we all know that's not going to happen.
No, but we try and remain positive because it's draft day and it's a positive day. So people's dreams are coming true. Teams are about to get some amazing players, and we have to let the future decide those intangibles for us. But I like that you bring up the intangibles at quarterback too, because that is a position where teams are looking for their future leaders. And the teams that are looking for quarterbacks in this draft, they're not looking for someone that's just going to be a fill-in at the moment. They're looking for futures that are going to be the franchise quarterback. So Malik Willis is someone that I know, my Steelers have been doing a lot of talk about. There's a lot riding on him, but I think a lot of those reasons are those intangibles that you brought up. And Tomlin is very much a guy that is going to be looking between the lines on players. So not that I'm picking a homer pick. Last year, I was fingers crossed, everything crossed for Najee Harris the entire draft.
Yes.
And did I cry when we get him? Yes, because I only cry at football. Like I literally don't cry at anything else, not even funerals. Like I only cry at sports. It's a personal problem for me. Tate understands that I'm weird in this way.
I do. It just hasn't progressed over the years. That's what I was waiting is growth. But I mean, apparently it's still the same. It just tugs on the heartstrings.
I don't cry unless it's sports. The Olympics, I'm a mess. I'm a mess for a week. Like as soon as the opening ceremony happen and the closing ceremonies happen, I'm a mess. It's just they achieve their dreams.
I get that. And there's always something that when someone, it's like it's pure joy, and I think I can identify with that, that pure emotion of that. Oh, we accomplished something, we're winning. I get it. I don't get not crying at funerals and other things, but I do understand that how sports can tug on your heartstrings like that.
It really does. Well, I'm in therapy for a lot of reasons. So the crying at normal things is one of the things we discuss in those sessions.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at the therapy, just more the reasons why.
I was going to steer clear of the therapy. I was going to try to reroute the Titanic, to
make sure we don't. It's okay to talk about it. Like, no, it's totally fine and normal to talk about therapy.
Normalize it.
Well, y'all mentioned the Olympics and how it kind of tugs on the heartstrings. I think that this is part of what makes draft night kind of special, is that it's like the culmination of these young men and their journey in the sport of football arriving at this moment. I think that some of the interviews are hit or miss after some of the players get drafted, and sometimes the handshake with Goodell isn't always the smoothest, but that's part of what I guess is endearing about it. Is it's such a special moment for these guys that have worked so hard to get to this point. That part's kind of cool to see it manifest itself in these moments. And there's always one crier. It's kind of like wedding crashers. You you're putting money on who's going to cry, who's in the blue room or whatever.
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed there's no I'm a little biased being Samoan and Polynesia. I'm a little bummed there's no Samoans that were invited to round 1. I just saw all the people that he listed, because I just keep going back to Danny Shelton and some of those other guys that just give Goodell the biggest bear hugs, and they're so stoked to be there. So yeah, definitely going to be missing a little bit of that. But yeah, it's awesome because it's that culmination of everything. And someone so a lot of these guys, I never made it, but I played football since I was 7 and played through college. And so, I know that road. I understand how long it really takes to get there and to be that good to actually make it to the NFL draft, to be invited, to just be drafted. It's huge, and it takes so much work and years of effort and dedication. And so, yeah, it's huge for these guys. And I was supposed to be there, so I'm still kind of bummed that now that it's here, I'm not there. But yeah, it's such an awesome day, and I'm stoked for these guys too. And I tell my kids, watch it, you got to watch the draft. These are the next guys going to be in the league, and hopefully, they're playing football, so hopefully this is them, in 15 years or something.
I love that. Now, after the draft, how quickly after the draft, or do you give yourself a day before you start building up content that's going to drop on the Undroppables? Because I know you're a crazy worker bee and you're always after it. So how long do you give yourself a break to digest everyone that's landed? Or are you just right tomorrow you're going to have an article out?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. So I would say, to answer the first part, I will be working on stuff today. There will be no time off. There'll be no break. I literally was finishing some film analysis 2 hours ago, like just trying to get as much of it in. There won't be, to answer the second part, there won't be an article dropping right after, only because for the last couple months, my team, we haven't put out a ton of content because a good portion of the team has been grinding on our rookie draft guide that we put out for the last 3 years. And so this year we're doing a little bit different, really trying to combine take our film guys and our analytics guys and have them analyze everyone separately and then bring it all together, combine all the grades into one undroppable score. So that's like the main thing we've been working on, is just trying to get this draft guide out. It'll be your top 50 rookie prospects. So it's really 4 dynasty rookie drafts. But it's going to be the culmination of everything. So we're trying to get it out like by next week. So like we will continue to be working through the weekend, updating things as we go. But yeah, there's some podcasts that we'll probably do. I'm definitely doing supposed to be doing a podcast next week with Thor Nystrom from NBC Sports Edge and Eric Crocker as well, doing a draft recap. So one show that I always do every year, and had been doing it the past 3 years with Mike Tagliere, who's unfortunately not with us anymore. So I just wanted to say, just shout out to Tags, and we miss you, buddy. And it'll be a little bit sad to not do this show with him, but still, we got some great content coming from the Undroppables.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, we only have you for a little bit longer before this first team is on the clock, but are there any players that you are hoping for today, specific for fantasy, for dynasty rosters? Is there 1 or 2 guys that you just have on a Post-it note draft day style that you hope land with a specific team?
Yeah, there's part of me that's hoping. I'm all in on Breece Hall as the rookie 101, the RB one. That's the one guy that I am sold on and been sold on for the longest time. In our film grade, he's like one of the only guys to get above a 90%. I think he scored out like a 95%. So I'm all in on him, and I'm really hoping he lands somewhere awesome. Texans would be cool. I really kind of want him to land at the Dolphins originally. But when you're looking at like who actually has picks today and where it could be a good fit, it's gonna be interesting. Outside of that, I really hope the Packers go for a receiver finally, like for once, because there's so many fantastic receivers. Like, just get a receiver.
Just do the thing we all want, guys. Come on.
Just come on, make everyone happy. Like, that's what everyone wants, right? So I'm really hoping they get someone good. I'm really high on Drake London. He's my wide receiver 1, so I'm really curious where he's going to land. And then the quarterbacks are really interesting. I was in early on Kenny Pickett, and I feel like through this draft process, so many people fell off of Kenny Pickett, especially because small hands smells like cabbage. But I'm still in. He got my highest grade at quarterback, so maybe it's a little biased, but I like his game. So I'm really curious to see if he's going to even go in round 1 or if he's going to fall out of round 1. It's good for fantasy. It's going to be a very interesting day because I think besides a handful of receivers, it's going to be a big guy draft, or a non-skill, non-fantasy relevant draft in the first round today, which is going to be good for football. It's going to be good all around. But like from that fantasy spin, it is what it is.
No, but I think that's a really good point, though. It's good for football, which in the long run can be really good for fantasy purposes, because there's a lot of players that were vulnerable last year that didn't have the coverage that they needed. So we're actually helping all of our current dynasty players by this draft. So even if people are bored and they're saying like, oh, it's just offensive linemen and edge rushers, like these are difference makers you should be caring about, because they're going to be protecting your quarterback and helping open up space for your running backs. These are really big positions.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's not the sexy picks, but at the same time, there's, over half the people that are invited to round 1, I think, are all either defenders or linemen. So it's going to be awesome. Yeah, it's a great draft. Outside of fantasy, it's a great draft to load up on those kind of guys, because this class is full of them. There's not a ton of great running backs. There's not a ton of great quarterbacks. I don't know if you guys are even talking tight ends, because there's only a handful of those guys too. But it's like everything else, like everything else you want, this class has it.
Definitely. Well, is there anything else you would like to plug before we let you go back into, I'm guessing this is your garage where you're going to go and get tons of work done?
Yeah, go back to just being dad mode and watching my kids. No, but yeah, thanks for having me on. Just Undroppables, everything Undroppables, theundroppables.com. All our rankings will be updated after this draft. Look out for the rookie draft guide coming out. And then, yeah, all the great podcasts that we have going on, especially The Undrafted by Jax Falcone. That's one of our best ones that we have. And he always has some great guests on. So definitely be sure to check that one out and sub to the channel if you want to check out any of our great podcasts that we have going on over there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tommy. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thanks,
inviting
Tommy.
me and having me on. You guys have a great draft, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what things about to kick off.
Let's go. It's about to kick off. Thanks again, Tommy. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Peace.
Bye. All right. The
Wow,
Jaguars
that was really nice. That's your neighbor?
I know, he lives just like a couple blocks away. I need to get him. We need to do like a live together, like either by his pool, which is going to be my suggestion because he has a pool and I do not have a pool, or we can do it in my studio. I've got space for it. We need to do a powwow after the draft for sure.
Just text him right now and tell him to come over and scoot over next to the mic. You guys can
He's
share
got
the
his
mic.
kids to go watch. He's got dad duty. He just said.
Well, I feel that. So I feel you there. But no, he's great. And the Undroppables pumps out some good content. So, but we got the Jags on the clock.
We do. We finally have the Jags on the clock. We are live with the draft. Again, anyone, if you guys have questions, please drop them in the comments. We will be live the entire draft today and probably having to drink some water as we keep going through all of these players' picks and analysis. I myself have a White Claw going right now. And don't worry, I've got another one that's on deck because I should be sponsored by one of these brands, either Yeti or Brewmate. I will take either sponsorship, please, and thank you.
I thought you were going to have like the loaded kombucha or kombuki or whatever it's
the
called.
hard kombuchas. I know this was why I avoided my typical California hard kombuchas or random other seltzers that no one has ever heard of because I wanted to go classic. I went White Claw and I didn't want your sass.
Look, I don't want to be sassy. The only thing I want to be sassy about is that, the Jacksonville Jaguars are picking #1 overall for a second straight year. And that's after they took Trevor Lawrence, like, a can't miss quarterback prospect at #1 overall last year. And I mean, do you want to go ahead and attempt to summarize the Urban Meyer era in Jacksonville?
Not so much. I mean, what I've heard really a lot of really good comparisons where, the soap opera that was happening in Jacksonville last year, we're in a new season and that show is over. So, I kind of don't want to pay too much attention to the madness that was last year and then just call it a scrub, etch a sketch it out and just shake the tablet and move on. And I'm sure that a lot of players on the team would like to do the same. But this offseason, free
Did you
agency
hear what
has
Travis
been
Etienne
insane.
had to say? I was going to say, did you hear what Travis Etienne had to say about missing last year?
He said didn't he say it was a good year to miss?
Yes. That sums it up. It's perfect. That is a perfect soundbite to summarize the 2021 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Definitely a very well put political answer on his behalf. I'm sure that the higher ups are very pleased with him and just keeping it so simple. If I had to miss a year, it was an okay year to miss. Yeah, definitely agree with Travis this year. Hopefully fully on the mend and ready to go this season. But I want to talk a little bit about the spending spree that the Jags had this off season because they came out gunslinging to go ahead and make room for what was needed for Trevor Lawrence to be successful this season.
Are we really certain that they solved it, though? I mean, I know you're going to list off the players that they brought in, but did they really solve that with their spending spree that they went on?
I don't think that they did. I think there are still a lot of things they need to address. I think they might have spent more than they need to. I think what they did was they went into free agency like you go to the grocery store when you're hungry and you buy too many things because you're hungry and you went to the grocery store. I feel like that's kind of how they went into free agency with some of these wide receivers because for myself, I don't really feel that Christian Kirk was worth the price tag that they paid. Zay Jones, amongst others. I mean, at least they're trying to get weapons for Trevor. So on the positive note, however, the purse strings are a little bit tight this season, I feel.
And look, I I think that they spent bad money personally. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind you being aggressive and splurging to go get players in particular to try to help Lawrence succeed. I understand that they lost Andrew Norwell, but they replaced him with Brandon Scarif, from the Washington Commanders, and you brought in Christian Kirk, but you overpaid to bring in Christian Kirk. That part's a tough pill to swallow. I personally, if you're going to be investing on the offensive side of the ball, and Trevor Lawrence is really, you believe he is your future for the next 10 to 15 years, I'm personally going, I think Evan Neal is someone that I would go with,
Okay.
because you want to invest in the offense. It's an offensive driven league. Not to say the defense doesn't still have its place. Of course it does. But Trevor Lawrence needs to be set up to succeed, and building that offensive line unit in front of him with a number 1 overall pick and a franchise left or right tackle, wherever you want to put them along the offensive line unit. I personally would go that route. I totally understand the upgrade though with Aiden Hutchinson. He is the best player on my board. I'm just saying team need. I would want to build around Trevor Lawrence. Am I wrong to think that?
No, I don't think you're wrong to think that at all. I mean, obviously, Trevor is the future of that franchise. I do still believe, despite the season that they had, I don't see any of their shortcomings as being his fault. I feel like he is still young and has a lot to learn, but he has all of the tools at his disposal in order to level up next year. And the only way he's going to be able to do that better, I agree, is by protecting him and getting him all the weapons he needs so that he can be successful in those minutes that he is on the field.
And I do think that Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker or Kayvon Thibodeau, they're all an upgrade over Kayvon Chasen, who they invested a first rounder in a couple years ago, right out of LSU. It's not that he's not working hard. It's just that they've expected a little bit more production out of him, and they've gotten it from Josh Allen. But I understand wanting to put 2 dynamic edge rushing threats to be able to get after the quarterback is always an enticing thing. You either want to protect the quarterback or get after the quarterback. After you have a quarterback, they have Trevor Lawrence. So I don't think either pick is wrong. I just think if you're investing in something in Jacksonville, I would rather invest in my quarterback rather than, another defensive lineman pick. But that's just me if I were the GM, Trent Baalke. But I certainly understand taking the blue chip, defensive end prospect.
I don't think that between either of those picks, Neal and Hutchinson, is a wrong answer. I think that the Jaguars, like we said, they still do have a lot of needs to be met. I think my next question to you would be, how many years out are the Jaguars from being a playoff contending team?
Well, now you have a proven coach, right? And say what you will about Doug Peterson, but I expect he's going to come in and at least give some sort of level of professionalism to that organization, which they did not have last year. And I know Urban Meyer's done some great things on the college level, but he's not a pro coach. He's a college coach, and he kind of proved it with his tenure being that of 1 season. So I expect that the Jags are probably going to be a little bit better than people think. And in particular, if Trevor Lawrence takes a big step in his second season, is this not a winnable division? I'm not going to say that. I still think the Titans are going to win the division, and the Colts are going to be, right there as a playoff contender / division contender as well. But I don't think either of those teams are Super Bowl contenders. Maybe the Titans, but I think that the Jags could potentially make a little bit of noise, similar to that of like the Cincinnati Bengals just last year.
I agree. I feel like this is definitely a winnable division. I mean, obviously the Colts and the Titans are beasts at the running back position, but are they an overall balanced team? Do you look at that roster and think, okay, they've got, 5 stars in each position? No, they feel like a very unbalanced team to me, in that, okay, if they're your star and you're hinging all your hopes on this 1-star offensive skill player, I don't see you set up for success overall. I think that because the Jags are in a position like they were last year, with getting Lawrence in the first round, with getting this next position in the first round, I think they have a lot of the collateral they need to build and be successful. I feel like maybe I want to say like 2 to 3 years out. And I don't feel like that's crazy to say, especially with someone like Travis Etienne definitely coming off the injury is a concern. But the way that these players are coming back from injury at such a young age, they're not having as many issues as players in the past have. So I'm not that concerned for his return. They still have James Robinson, who was just, benched last season for absolutely no reason. So they do still have him at depth as well. And they did just add a bunch of wide receivers to a young quarterback who can sling the ball all over the field. So I think they have a lot of potential, but it's how they address every other position that they're going to be successful.
Well, I mean, you got to remember that James Robinson, I believe, tore his Achilles at the very end of last season. So,
yeah, just
I
at
mean,
the very end.
At the very end. So, I mean, we don't know if he's going to be available for the beginning of the season. I don't think that he will be. He was either a torn Achilles or a torn ACL. It's kind of, slipping my mind, maybe getting the two mixed up. But the point is, James Robinson may not be available, but we expect Travis Etienne. In fact, dynasty owners, right, are probably, not excited that someone got hurt, but there's certainly an opportunity, right, for Travis Etienne to see if he's going to basically live up to his profile. I mean, he's got a great relative athletic score. He did a little bit of everything at Clemson alongside Trevor Lawrence. He's a pass catching dynamo out of the backfield. Travis Etienne's a 3-down back, and I'm interested to see what he can do with Doug Peterson, who had a concerning track record though of using multiple backs back in Philadelphia.
Yes, he did have that history. But again, I mean, if James Robinson can come back, I'm going to say something more like week 4, week 6. I'm probably way off in that analysis of guessing when he's going to come back from this injury. But if he can come back early to mid-season, I think that's just going to help extend Etienne throughout the rest of the season to be successful. And I think that they could help complement each other. We've seen other teams be successful with having multiple running backs on the field at the same time. And, what's to say this new look Jags can't also do that?
There's nothing to say. I mean, I expect that the Jags will be better than they were last year because there's nowhere to go but up. I mean, I don't want to, point that out and, throw any shade at Jacksonville fans, but
I think I see that as a positive. There's nowhere to go but up. I think they're only going to get better.
Right. And you get another top end pick. I mean, no one would have predicted that the Jags were going to, make any sort of, playoff appearance last year anyway. Right. We all knew that they were going to be a year away. So what's better than being a year away and having another top end pick to kind of build around Trevor Lawrence and, early second round, draft capital. And, the Jags have an opportunity here to not screw it up. And traditionally they have had moments where they screwed it up in the past as an organization. They did it with Urban Meyer. The one thing I can say is at least they pulled the plug really quick when they realized, we screwed up. All right, we're not doubling down on it. We're not giving him another year. He's out. So fresh start. Still got Trevor Lawrence. His career's not ruined because of it. Let's see what he's got.
Let's see what he's got. And it looks like the pick is in. So we are just waiting for that to come across the board to see who went number 1 overall. Is it going to be Aiden Hutchinson, or is it going to be Evan Neal, or even Ike Ekwonu? Who is going to be walking across the stage? We're all waiting.
Trayvon Walker. Who knows?
All of a sudden, the Steelers trade and they get the number 1 pick and they take Malik Willis.
Would you do a backflip and just drop the mic and then I have to do this whole thing by myself for the rest of the?
I might fall out of my chair. But let's not.
Would you drink a third White Claw if that were the case?
I sneakily drank 3 White Claws in all of 10 minutes. Yeah, no, we're pacing ourselves. We're on 1 right now.
I understand, but if they traded up to the number 1 pick and took Malik Willis, I mean,
I would do a shot. What are we doing? That was aggressive.
Let's kick off the draft.
Unnecessarily aggressive. Okay, real talk question while we're still waiting for this pick to be announced. Did you watch Draft Day this week?
I didn't watch Draft Day. I mean, I think that they lost.
I was mad at myself.
I think, what did they trade? 2 or 3 second rounders to get back into the top 10. Grow up. That's not going to happen. Please. I get it. It was a fun movie. It was a fun movie because we love the draft, but come on. No, that's a dynasty trade. That's one you roll your eyes at if you see a dynasty owner that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. You roll your eyes and okay, I'm not going to veto it because you can run your franchise however you want, but you jackass.
Which, on that note, they did end up getting back in because they took advantage of a GM that was young. In the film, it was the Jaguars. So this is full circle. We are still staying on topic. The Jaguars pick is in. I see Roger Goodell on my screen, although I do have my volume all the way down because interference and stuff. So
It's okay.
I'm wondering.
I mean, all you're missing right now is he's walking up to the stage is him being booed.
Oh, they took Trayvon Walker?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Defensive edge rusher Trayvon Walker, number 1 overall pick. He's not even at the draft right now, but he is happy. He is with his family. This is a surprising pick to me. Both of the picks that we suggested or thought they were going to take number 1 overall, they did not. They went Trayvon Walker. Amazing.
Trent Baalke, just throwing everybody a curveball. I mean, I'm not going to say it's unbelievable because Trayvon Walker is a fantastic prospect out of Georgia. And one thing that I really enjoyed about Trayvon Walker and kind of watching him do his thing at Georgia was, even though the sack totals weren't sky high, it was because he was kind of clearing the way for Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker and Jordan Davis and a host of other loaded Georgia defenders that are all going to be hearing their names called at some point in this NFL draft, like clearing the way for that. Channing Tindall, like clearing the way for them to go unabated to the quarterback. He's a versatile piece that you can move around, and his athleticism for a guy that's 270 plus pounds is up there with any prospect that has come out in the last 3 or 4 years, maybe outside of Chase Young. So, I mean, physically, he's got all the tools. I just think that he's a little bit raw as far as pure pass rushing, like tools in the belt. He's going to have to be coached up a little bit, but certainly the potential and the ceiling is there to justify him going number 1 overall. Just kind of a surprise, though.
Definitely a surprise, and actually perfect timing. We have our next guest that's going to be Mike Valeri from Campus to Canton. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. We're so excited to have you on. Oh, wait.
Oh, I wasn't listening. I was waiting patiently behind backstage. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just announcing that we're so excited to have you on with us. You're here joining us from Campus to Canton, our friends over there. And are you surprised by this pick, Trayvon Walker, 1st overall?
Yeah, I am actually. I thought it'd be more Thibodeau. I thought production would be more important here. So I am a little bit surprised, but not overly, not wow.
Yeah. I mean, we were just saying a minute ago, Tate and I were saying that obviously Jacksonville still has many needs, so they couldn't totally mess up this pick. But Tate, you were just saying you're still a little bit surprised.
A little bit. I'm definitely a little bit surprised. And Mikey, welcome to the party, pal. I noticed you were putting in your headphones a little bit. You're trying to listen and watch the draft at the same time. We're all doing the same thing. But no, I'm just a little bit surprised. I mean, I understand that they wanted an upgrade from K'Lavon Chasen. Hasn't lived up to his draft stock over the last 2 seasons, and they need something opposite to Josh Allen. I understand it. I just think it's a deep edge rusher draft, like really deep at the edge rusher position. So
we see that UK flag behind you.
Yeah, Josh Allen gets it done. He's a legend on campus for us.
Love it.
The other Josh Allen. Yeah, I got you.
So with the guys over at Campus to Canton, I know that one of the things that you guys do best is obviously not just rookie knowledge, but you guys follow everyone through all of college. Can you speak a little bit more about just the process that you guys have over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do recruiting too. And I think, they've alluded to it, not exactly put their foot down on it, but we hope to become like a recruiting site in the future. I'm very sure that's what Austin's passion is. What a lot of the founders' passions are. A lot of them don't have too many, goals with the NFL. They don't really, once the players go off the NFL, they're like, all right, that's it. I don't care. Now I'm looking at the 2024 recruitment class, and I'm looking at someone's middle school son, so they go way back early there. So yeah, so we go deep. We start out at the recruiting stage. We go to freshman year. Freshman year, there's not a lot of production to go off of. But we do have certain thresholds based on playing time and getting on the field. We have this new thing called year 1 zeros. And it's kind of a metric, but it pretty much has 100 yards is one, 5 catches is another, and a certain number of kick returns. But pretty much it's a threshold that if they hit those thresholds, then almost everybody except for 3 outliers has gone on to the NFL and like been like productive and stuff like that. So, and then once it gets like sophomore year, we do have like our own like analytics team, and we have our recruiting team now. So and we have a Devi team, which I'm on too. So it's a really fun group. It's young and it's growing, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I think for a lot of people that are getting more and more into dynasty and their prospects for players, I think having a resource like Campus to Canton is huge for, people like myself and Tate that are super into tape and learning about these players, but it's just one more level to dive into these players. And I do want to jump in and just say Aiden Hutchinson was just taken by the Detroit Lions. That was a very quick turnaround on that pick. How relieved do you think the Lions were that he fell to them?
That's a home run of a pick. I mean, University of Michigan, Detroit Lions. I mean, what they probably had the top player on the board. They probably ran to the damn podium. That is a match made in heaven. Hutchinson, I'm not going to say it's a steal at number 2, but certainly the Detroit Lions are very happy to keep him in the state of Michigan. I'll just keep it there.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Also, you're probably about 20 seconds ahead of me because you broke the news to me before I even saw it. So.
Oh no, I mean I have YouTube TV in California, so I always feel like I am a minute behind, but I think maybe because the draft is on the West Coast this year, it's giving me a slight edge. Fingers crossed. I don't know.
Yes.
So I'm curious, like when you're talking about like, Campus to Canton, and you're talking about like the freshman algorithm or year one, how does that favor someone like Drake London, who basically came onto campus at USC with other NFL talent on the roster competing for targets, but kind of broke out, like made an instant impact. So does, like, when you're kind of putting these prospects through your algorithm and taking into that year one production into account, how does someone like Drake London shake out?
Well, I can't speak for everybody at Campus to Canton because some of us favor analytics more and other of us favor tape more. Right. So I do like the analytics. So my process is I look at draft trends, which is just simple, then analytics, and then I got my tiers and I look at the guys. So what's really important to me is not that early production, but that they're an early declare. And what early declare is like a metric says, it says that the NFL went to these players and say, we want you now, we don't want to wait. And so for those guys that are younger coming up, that's the appeal. Not like the early breakout age, but the fact that once they were eligible, the NFL is like, yeah, come on over. We want you to come on over now.
Do you find it to be any like specific positions that it's more correlates to? Like it's more important for an early declare at like wide receiver or running back, or quarterback, as opposed to someone like an interior defensive lineman or an edge rusher?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really only for wide receiver. That's about it. Running back doesn't matter. Quarterbacks doesn't matter. But it's really just a wide receiver metric. For running backs, I don't know. I want to see the power five. I want to see the production. I want to see the quick twitch and the athleticism. Because any guy can run through a hole and follow their blockers. Like that's supposed to be expected at a high end of college. But once they get to the NFL, I do think athleticism plays a role into like their ceiling.
Well, and I'm sorry I'm peppering you with so many questions, but when you're taking a look at the tape, right? And this is something that I think analytics don't really pull up on very much.
Right.
I really like to focus on a wide receiver's ability to be able to get off the line of scrimmage, because if they don't have a good release package and they're struggling to get off the line of scrimmage in college, even if they're playing in the SEC, I think that problem only gets harder and worse in the National Football League, because it's hard to develop that release package when you get into the NFL, because it's not a developmental league.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's time to show out. And that's why I think we might see a surprise here tonight with like Sky Moore. He's from the MAC. He's from the G5. For everyone listening, the G5 are like the bottom 5 conferences. Power 5 is the top 5 conferences. So the MAC isn't really known for producing talent, well, at least at a high level. And so with Sky Moore here, we got some rumors that he's getting taken higher than we're gonna expect. And he has a fantastic release package. Like as you said, he is quick off the line. And as a prospect, I love him because he was a cornerback all throughout high school. And he was a cornerback going to Western Michigan. And then just in camp, they're like, just try a wide receiver. And he's seen high level production 3 years in a row. And he's, raw to the position, but he looks like a refined prospect. So we're going to love him coming out. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people here, but we're definitely higher than most probably on Sky Moore.
Nice.
The pick is in for the Texans, by the way, guys, not to break news again for you. But it is Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback, going to the Texans. I think this is a fantastic pick.
Yeah. Are you guys worried about his injury by any chance? Haven't really seen him much this year.
I don't feel like I'm that worried about injuries, especially in this class as they come in. I mean, we were just saying about someone else earlier. I feel like the way that these players are coming back from injury these days is a bit less of a concern overall than it has been in the past. I think that Houston has a lot of needs. Cornerback is definitely one of them. So to pull someone like this early in the draft, I think is only going to be a good thing going forward.
Absolutely.
I'm a little bit concerned with it's just because of who else was on the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Sauce Gardner wasn't there, I do think Stingley was far and away the best corner. But I think it's pretty close between Stingley and Gardner. So for me, I probably would have gone Gardner because when you're splitting the hairs, the best availability is. I mean, the best ability is availability. That's what I almost messed it up.
You got it.
I've
You
only
got
had
there
one beer,
eventually.
I've only had one beer so far, I promise. But no, that when we're talking about splitting hairs and investing, the number 3 overall pick, it matters to me a little bit. And I have the same argument about Jameson Williams. So we'll get into him a little bit later. But for me, I would have gone Gardner. But it's a great pick. If he's healthy, he's more than worth the number 3 overall pick in this draft.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a friend here that tore 2 ACLs, and we always make jokes about knees, but for some reason he keeps up with like the knee surgery news, just like for experimental stuff. They come out with a new thing 6 months ago about a new way to repair ACLs with some sort of, I forget what they call it, but some sort of sponge technology, whatever. But apparently it's in the experimental phase, and it's hitting every single mark, and it's going to be tested on athletes here pretty soon too. But it's going to make like the ACL recovery phase like 2 months.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, just the way that they develop surgeries for different body parts over the years has improved. Like for myself, I know my brothers had 4 hip surgeries, 3 labrum repairs in his hip. Each surgery, I think, was faster than the previous one because every year they get better and better at it. He just had a full hip replacement surgery, and he's back to playing. And he got that surgery at the end of November last year, and he's back to full sport. So I feel like these players and medicine itself is just getting so much better for athletes. And especially when you think about an athlete versus the everyday person, their bodies are conditioned to put up with wear and tear and come back. And they definitely have a lot of things going in their favor when it comes to effort focused on recovery. If I have to just go to work every day, I'm not going to spend 6 hours out of the day focused on recovery. If it's their job, it is their job to do recovery morning, noon, and night, even through the night, sleeping in hyperbaric chambers, like every single thing they will do to get better. But Jets are on the clock now. Do you have any inclination as who they will take in this pick?
So I'm thinking they go offensive lineman here. Once that news of Mekhi Beckham broke today, I thought the kind of writing was on the wall here that they're looking to draft a new alignment here. So that's kind of where I'm leaning right now with this pick.
Gotcha. Tate, how do you feel?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with investing in the offensive line when you have a young franchise quarterback that you're trying to really get the answers to the test on and see if he's still the real deal. Zach Wilson needs as much help as he can get. And you got 2 top 10 picks. I think you're going to still be able to get a wide receiver at number 10, of course. So, yeah, I think that there's 3 top flight tackle prospects in this draft. Take your pick of the litter, and then you have number 10. Just see which receiver falls to you at number 10 and let it rip.
Mike, do you have a favorite between Ike Ekwonu, Evan Neal, and Charles Cross, just off the top of your head?
It's not Charles Cross, and I've been going back and forth in my head with the other 2. I think I'm leaning Ike, honestly, but
okay,
it's whatever goes here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely either Ekwonu or Neal would both be great picks for them. Let's talk a little bit about the Jets. And obviously they do still have a lot of work to do, but I felt like there were moments last season where it seemed like the gears were clicking and we were about to see the Jets team make a turnaround until, of course, they didn't. Is this going to be the year that they finally break and get a lot more wins in that win column?
I don't think that they're all that far away. And maybe I'm in the minority here, but I think that the Jets, I mean, I could also see them going Sauce Gardner here, to be 100% honest. I mean, I understand, Mike, the logic behind taking the best tackle, whoever's at the top of your board and investing in the offensive line. But I could also see him going Sauce Gardner here, just because Robert Salah, I can imagine investing into that defensive unit as well. And then you get Carl Lawson coming back. I mean, I liked what I saw from CJ Mosley last season. He wasn't perfect, but I mean, he was still proved that he can play at a high level. You know, and then, yeah, again, at number 10, I mean, even if you could wait it going corner, there's a couple different ways you can go here. But I just see Sauce Gardner being a good fit for what Robert Saleh wants to do. And I think that if you address both sides of the ball, if you get Drake London is the guy that I think would be a good fit with the New York Jets, in particular what Zach Wilson does well as far as throwing outside the numbers, outside the boundary, and you can throw back shoulders to Drake London all day long, and he can do a lot more than just win 50-50 contested balls. Like he's got rare hip movement and hip fluidity for a guy that's his size. So I would say if you can get Sauce Gardner or Evan Neal here, I'm with it, and then get Drake London at 10, and I think that you give a round of applause and throw back a beer. If you're Sam, it's a White Claw, and call it a day.
I'm on the seltzer team too. I'm sorry.
Team seltzer.
I got mine, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. So do you have yours in a brewmate or a Yeti?
Oh man, this was a gift to me. Yeah, check. Hold up. This is a brewmate. This is a brewmate. You're right. This is brewmate.
I have both. Definitely a fan of all products that are keeping my drinks cold, but also it just keeps, I don't have to go to the fridge now. I've got one in here, so when I finish this guy, he's ready to go. But the pick is in. There's been a lot of hugging of the coaching staff in the war room for the Jets, so we're about to see Roger Goodell walk across the stage with the next pick for the Jets. I do agree with you, Tate. I think that Drake London would be a great spot, but at 4 would be too early, so hopefully they go somewhere else here.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I think you guys are definitely 40. You guys are 45 seconds ahead of me for sure.
I don't see it yet. Ahmad Gardner. Okay, Tate, you were a little bit on the right there because you went cornerback. It looks like Ahmad Gardner is now a New York Jet. They did not go offensive tackle or wide receiver, and they did not go Sauce Gardner. Is Sauce Gardner falling in this draft, and our team's getting excited that they might get him in the next couple picks?
I thought you just said Ahmad Gardner went. Sauce Gardner. Sauce,
my bad.
That's his nickname. Yeah, I mean,
Sam, come on.
That's
too many seltzers. Gotta put the other one back.
I need a minute.
It's take a break. Take a break. No, I'm good.
No, I should have to do a shot for every mistake I make. That was a bad one.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's funny. I mean, it's a great moment in the draft. We're only 4 picks in, Sam. So.
Yeah, at least it's not like the time I was talking about Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, like they were still on the same team and they weren't totally on different teams. At least it wasn't like that. That was a bad one.
I see the Edelman jersey in the crowd out there. I see that.
Love it. Okay, wait. So, Mike, I see that you're a Patriots fan. I can't let you go without talking a little bit about Patriots. And obviously, I'm a Steelers fan. I think we can still be friends, even though most Steelers and Patriots fans tend to not like each other for very clear and obvious reasons. But how do you feel about Mac Jones this coming season? He looks really good. I bet Bill Belichick is just like doing one of these over there, just very happy with Mac Jones.
Yeah, I thought it was a steal. Once the 3rd pick last year passed and it wasn't Mac Jones, I was on a live draft as well, and I was like, that's it. Mac Jones goes to the Patriots. He falls. And he just fit the system so well, too, because I don't think he could have thrived the way he did in, like, 75% of teams. Like, he needs to sit behind that O-line that gives him a chance to go through his progressions and throw the football. And he doesn't need to have that special arm talent because we're a team that just likes to throw the short ball to the slots. You know, he fits our scheme exactly well. And so I thought last year he did exactly what he wanted to do. He was very conservative. I didn't really want to make too many wild throws. But I hope this year to see the playbook open up, and I hope that they get him a better weapon as well. I would like a top tier pass catcher, not in the first, but one of these 2nd or 3rd round picks. I would like to see him to add to that receiving core. Because when I was watching the playoff game against the Bills, there was like no separation. I'm sorry, like Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne, they weren't helping Mac Jones out at all whatsoever.
I'm kind of curious, who's going to be calling the plays there this year? I mean, Josh McDaniels is obviously in Las Vegas now. What? And I know you mentioned the offensive system, and I think it does fit Mac Jones very well for what Josh McDaniels and their game plans seem to be dialed up. But what does it look like? Do you have any inclination of what it's going to look like there offensively? Is it going to be the same thing? Who's going to be calling the plays?
You know, I didn't think about till you just answered that, or till you just asked that question. So I actually have no idea because Bill Belichick's a defensive-minded coach. I know his son's on the team; he's on the defensive side. I know all the defensive coaches on that roster, but I can't think of any of the offensive coaches. They all left. So I actually have no idea. I'm sorry, I have no answer for you there.
We just
I
need you
think
to
you
answer
guys are going.
questions, Mike. What are you doing?
I'm sorry.
I think you all are going Zion Johnson from Boston College. Shaq Mason got traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he makes a lot of sense at your all spot. I'm calling my shot again. I call it with Sauce Gardner, Sam. We'll see if I hit with the New England Patriots.
I'm looking at corner here or linebacker for the Patriots, and I'm like crossing my fingers that Trent McDuffie falls to us. That's what I want us to take, but
It's a long way to fall.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well,
Two
Mike,
corners just went 3 and 4. So we'll see. Good.
Yeah,
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, man. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
definitely. Is there anything that you want to plug before you sign off with us and specific to Campus to Canton to get people excited and head over to the site?
Yeah, absolutely. So the site just got an overhaul recently. We are the premium leading company on college fantasy football. That's like our staple. If you guys have find dynasty football to be a little bit too easy nowadays, you're a little tired of following the same 32 teams and the same 15 players for 6 months, try your hand at 132 teams in college football. It becomes a lot more challenging and it gets fun getting into research. Me personally, I'm a history major, so I like to research. I don't know why. It's just fun for me that I want to like hit Google and just see where I can find players at. But if you guys are interested in that type of stuff, come check out Campus to Canton. We know who's going to come to the draft 3 years before they come to the draft. And it's a lot of fun. And we have tools that can help you out too. So.
You're making it sound like the rest of us are just playing in the kiddie pool while the rest of you guys are swimming in the ocean with this mass amount of teams and players that you guys are going through.
It's just fun to know the players before everyone else knows them. You get to sit back and feel all smug while everyone's, oh, do you guys see Sky Moore? It's like, I knew who Sky Moore was 3 years ago.
Way to be late to the party. You're like that person where, you're talking about something new and it's like, you don't know who that is. So you get to do that constantly. You don't know that person. You're so late. So that must feel really good about a lot of these players, especially at this point in the draft.
Yeah, I am that friend that's always like, oh, I've already seen that meme. You're behind.
Do you see this? Yeah.
It's like if you read the books of Game of Thrones before the series came out.
Like,
yeah. Yeah. Or if you've read all the Marvel comic books, so every time a movie comes out, you're like, yeah, I know what they should do.
Yeah. The book readers are the worst to watch the movies with. And that's kind of what we are, I guess. We're the book readers.
I love
you
it.
You sit back and you just talk smack the whole time. It's like, oh God, that's a horrible creative decision. Who the hell did that? Who got paid for this? Like, you guys don't know shit. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like the Giants selection is in. Do you want to stay with us until this pick is made?
Yes, I will. I hate the Giants, so I hope they just botch this pick. I hope they pick Kadarius Toney part 2 here. As a Patriots fan, I don't like the Giants.
It's not that I don't like the Giants. It's just that there's nothing for me to get excited about for the Giants. Yeah. Looks like there's a lot of hype going. There's a lot of hand waving. It seems like they're just waiting. The Giants need their moment.
I think it's Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah,
I like that pick here.
I'm with you. Absolutely. I think they should rebuild the trenches. I think that's how teams should rebuild, start the trenches. So I like that here for them.
And you think about how this board has fallen right now, and you imagine that their second pick, at number 7 overall is probably going to be one of the tackle prospects because you do the math. There's at least 2 elite level prospects on my board, Ike Ekwonu and Evan Neal. So Carolina can't take both. So you're going to get one of the 2 at number 7. So I would say Kayvon Thibodeau for me.
Yeah.
I like to think that I know what I'm talking about, but
you do, because Kayvon Thibodeau is now off the board.
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah. What do I know? Yeah, baby.
What do you know? You know everything. And I just have to say really quick, I do love Kayvon Thibodeau's suit. I think it is a really fly looking suit.
Oh, was there I'm not watching TV right now. I'm engaged with my camera.
The pick is still not in for me. But was there like not like a show about their suits? I think they did that last year where they had like a little show where everyone showed off where they got their suits, how they got tailored.
Yeah, no, they did their walk across the red carpet in Vegas. They did the pink carpet this year, but they did go through all of their suits and all that fun stuff.
That's awesome.
But yeah, thanks again, Mike, for joining us and tuning in. Where can everyone follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at FF_Dirty Mike, and you can find all my work at Campus Can. Check us out, guys. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, and enjoy the rest of the draft. I hope your Patriots do exactly what you want them to.
They won't. They always botch the first round, but it's okay. It's okay. It's our history. It's a tradition now.
It'll be fine. It'll all be fine. Thanks
Cheers
again. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you guys for having me. Have a good night.
You too.
Dude.
Bye. All right.
These guests are so much fun. It's almost sad to say goodbye to them.
I know. We're waiting for our next guest, which will be my friend Mike Rothstein from ESPN. He is now the writer for the Falcons. Previously, he was with the Lions, so we were waiting for him to come aboard with us. He might have to dip out really quick, though, because the Falcons do pick at 8, and this draft is kind of moving really quickly. So as soon as we see him behind the scenes, we will get him up on the board. But quickly about Kayvon Thibodeau, I mean, Tate, are you writing these down? Because you're kind of nailing this draft.
I'm not writing anything down. I'm not cheating. I'm just I'm trying to enter the minds of a GM. And by the way, I've got so many dynasty teams now that I think I could be a GM in the National Football League. And I've always thought that, Sam. You know that. I mean, I'm sending you trades at, I think it's like 4 a.m. sometimes, Pacific Standard Time. Like I'm trying to like always wheel and deal. So I'm looking at the value and I'm guessing right. This is a guessing game. I don't know, but I'm looking at what I have on my board and I'm kind of like, I mean, I got the first one wrong I thought it was Aiden Hutchinson and it ended up being Trayvon Walker. So
I'm going to let that one slide for you. I don't think it's a very big deal that you got that one wrong. I see Mike is in behind the chat. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and add you to the screen. Thank you so much for making time.
Hey,
Mike,
hey y'all, how are you? As you can see, I'm outside because I am in
Mikey,
Georgia.
welcome.
It's warm in Georgia.
We'll get you, pal. We'll get you eventually.
I was going to say, the way that this draft is moving.
I love the loading sign.
This is, and I'm
a little spinning wheel of death. Have you ever got that when you're in like in the midst of like a conference call? There we go. There he is.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me now. The way this draft is moving, I may have to bail early because and I'm doing the sports writer kiss of death here because I'm talking about how fast this is going. But if the Falcons end up on the clock while I'm on here, I got to bounce.
That is totally fine. I was just telling everyone to give you grace for that moment if you do have to leave, but I'm so happy to have you on.
It's my job, Sam. Come on.
I know you do have to do your job and you're really good at it. Are you expecting any surprises with this upcoming Falcons pick?
I mean, right now, I think there's just still hold on one sec. I'm actually tweeting this out. I don't know that answer because right now there's been a couple surprises that I think are shaking things up in that, Derek Stingley is off the board and they've taken there's been 5 straight defensive players to start this draft, which means at least one of the top 3 offensive tackles will be there. And that might be really tempting for the Atlanta Falcons because they do have to fix their offensive line. We'll see if Jermaine Johnson ends up being there. That might be really interesting for the Falcons as well. We'll see if Malik Willis ends up being there. That could be interesting, although I would be surprised if they went Malik Willis. And then there's obviously the wide receiver. Now, 8's also a spot that you could see a trade. It would not shock me if a team's trying to get back in the top 10, say, for that last tackle or for Jermaine Johnson, and the Falcons could say, you know what, we'll move off of that and pick up more draft capital. And or maybe someone wants Malik Willis if Malik Willis is there if he doesn't, go to the Panthers or the Giants in the next 2 picks. So that's going to be really interesting to watch, Sam, Tate. Like, I'm very curious to see how this goes.
Definitely has been a bit shaken up this first part of the draft with a couple players falling. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson going to the Lions. I'm sure they were very excited about that move.
They are. I can tell you. I mean, I used to cover the Lions. They are super. I feel I shouldn't quote it as this, but I did just finish watching the Showtime show, Super Pumped, about Uber, and the title of it, and Super Pumped is in my head. And I imagine the Lions, Michigan fans as well, super pumped that Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a Detroit Lion for the foreseeable future.
Oh, it's a match made in heaven. I mean, that's a home run of a pick for the Detroit Lions. Aiden Hutchinson staying in the state of Michigan. I was saying it like reacting live, and when they took Trayvon Walker #1 overall to the Jags, I was like, they're running to the podium and taking Aiden Hutchinson. So I believe we have a pick that's in. It's Ike Ekwonu, tackle North Carolina State to the Carolina Panthers. So they pass on quarterback, Sam. And Mike, I know we're one pick away from the Atlanta Falcons being on. It's the New York Giants who are going to be back on the clock. They still have Evan Neal that's on the board. I'm kind of interested. Do you see the Falcons potentially moving out of this pick, though, now that one of those tackles is off the board?
I mean, it's probably, listen, I think that they would like, if they can move out of 8, they would like to. Now, if Evan Neal's sitting there at 8, that's going to be really, really enticing for them.
Right. Evan Neal played right tackle at Alabama and then moved to left tackle. So he's got reps on both sides of the offensive line with Matthews over at left tackle for the Atlanta Falcons. But, I mean, it's tempting too with Malik Willis or even wide receiver for this team,
It
right?
is. I mean, but here's the thing with quarterbacks is if the Falcons take a quarterback, they have to be 100% certain they think he's a franchise guy. If they don't think he's a franchise guy, you can't take him, because if you're Terry Fontenot, if you're Arthur Smith, and you take him and it doesn't work out, that's possibly your job. Where you take another position and it doesn't work out, well, it didn't work out. But a quarterback, you take a quarterback at 8 when you have other elite players on the board and it doesn't work, that's big time problems. That starts the clock on your tenure. Where right now, if you're the Falcons, you are, even though they don't want to call it rebuilding, they are. So if you're the Falcons, you don't want to go down that road right now unless you feel 100% certain that Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett or whoever is your quarterback. So now if they trade back and one of those guys is there and that's the way they want to go, then sure, we can have that conversation and that's a little bit different. But at 8, that's, I think, really difficult, really tricky.
Do you see them maybe going quarterback later? There are a few quarterbacks that could end up dropping, maybe in the second round.
I do. I think Terry Fontenot said it, that they would like to come out of the draft with a quarterback. Now, that could be by trade. That could be a whole different boat of ways. But they would like to. Now, if they don't, they don't. And last year they ran into that and they signed A.J. McCarron to be their backup, and away they went. He got hurt. Then they signed Josh Rosen, and they still have Felipe Franks as a developmental player. So you see all of those things, and that's, to me, I would not be surprised if the Falcons take a quarterback at some point in this draft. I would still be surprised if they went one with 1 at 8.
I know you're going to have to go here pretty soon because the Falcons are about to be on the clock.
Yeah, I can't. Sorry if I keep being mildly distracted, but I'm just kind
of.
No,
you're fine. No, thank you for giving us your time. This is interesting to watch this unfold for you in real time.
I was going to say, if anyone was actually interested in watching this unfold for me, like I don't know what to tell you. Like I really don't know. You don't want to see it on day 3. Like by day 3, I've got a book ready. I'm good. Like I actually brought a book tonight because if everything happens quick and then you're sitting there for 2 hours with nothing to do. So I got a book. I'm reading Agent Sonia right now by Ben McIntyre. It's about a Russian spy. It's a nonfiction book. It's about one of the better Russian spies ever. It's really interesting. So I'm sure Ben McIntyre is absolutely watching this and will appreciate the plug. I've never met Ben McIntyre. I believe he's British. So would really have no reason to watch this, but quite a good book. I'll plug that there, even though, again, it's just a good book. I'm reading it about 200 pages in. It's really fascinating. It's a true story.
No, I love it. I mean, Mike,
this is why your listeners are here, because they want to hear about books right now when the number 7 pick on the clock.
Again, guys, this is Mike Rothstein, ESPN reporter for the Falcons. But Mike, you report on more than just football. Do you want to talk about any recent articles that you've just dropped? I know you've posted a couple.
Yeah, so I do cover boxing. The biggest fight in women's boxing history is on Saturday. It's at Madison Square Garden. I'll actually be there. Instead of being in Atlanta on Saturday, I'll be in New York. I'll be covering the draft from a hotel room and then walking over to the Garden. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, huge fight. If you like boxing, you should be watching this. It's on DAZN. Katie Taylor, the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Amanda Serrano, the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And second to only Christy Martin in knockouts career-wise. She has 30 knockouts in 44 fights. It's going to be a great fight. And it's really a fight that a lot of people within the women's boxing world are hoping that it creates enough attention, enough buzz that it lifts the entire sport, because it's a niche sport and a niche sport right now. It's a niche part of a niche sport. And it's something that can be really valuable, I think, for the entire sport. I've written stories on Katie Taylor, stories on Amanda Serrano, Michaela Mayer, who is Southern California person, Sam. She broke down the fight for us. She's a top-ranked fighter. She's the unified junior lightweight champion, so she might be a future opponent for one of them. And it's going to be a great fight. So you can catch all that on those stories have been running the last few days on ESPN.com, where you can find all my football work as well. I'll be talking about the Falcons again later tonight on my From the Perch podcast. You can find that wherever you listen to your podcasts, and also all my stuff at ESPN. And that is where things are right now. So it is getting pretty exciting as I keep glancing at the television that's inside. I've stationed myself, and I'll show you really quick. I've stationed myself where there's a television nearby. So, and I'm holding my phone in my hands with a tweet from the Athletics' Jeff Schultz up right now, basically keeping my eye on it so that way I know if I need to run right back inside here.
Mike, you're absolutely a gem and a legend and a scholar, sir. I love you so much.
That's too kind, Sam. Now I'm going to have to buy you all of the food next time I see you.
I know. I need to get down to Atlanta so I can catch a game.
Yeah, or I can just go to. All right, I got to go, guys. Looks like they're going to be on the clock here momentarily, as I believe the Giants pick is close to in. So, thank you all for having me. I'm sorry I couldn't be around longer, but this is what happens when you cover a team in the top 10. So
that's totally fine. Have a good rest of your night, Mike. Take
good luck
care.
with the rest of the show. And if you do this for round 2 and 3, maybe I'll come back again.
There we
Perfect.
go. I
Thanks,
like
Mike.
it. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Oh my gosh, I love Mike.
That was
He's
kind
the
of cool.
best.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like to watch, a beat writer, like in the moment, like have to like, okay, I gotta go. Like I gotta write this right now.
I know. Like I
have
started
we got the
sweating
actual
for
pick?
him.
I'm guessing it's Evan Neal from Alabama.
That's gonna go to the Giants right now.
I'm guessing it's Evan Neal.
I still
If
see
not,
only
I
the
could see
pick
I could
advance.
see Charles Cross too as well here. But if we're going with my predictions again, I'm going with Evan Neal.
Okay. I really want you to just make a separate spreadsheet for this to track all the ones that you've gotten right, because you've gotten quite a few right. It's been a very good night for you. But yeah,
It's been a Tater type of night. I mean, it's fun.
back to Mike really quick. I just love him so much because he's definitely someone that he kind of downplays how much work he does when you're just talking to him about normal stuff, but he is such an intense writer, and he's always on the pulse of everything that his team is doing, but also that other sports are doing. So if you guys are not following him, you need to on Twitter at Mike Rothstein. Again, beat writer for ESPN. He's just a fantastic guy and a great follow. And he's always posting stuff right before games too. So if you're wondering on injuries, he's an Instagram you should follow, because he's literally walking down the tunnel and doing a live saying so-and-so isn't playing, this person is playing. So he is right there for you, and a good follow for the Falcons and everything ESPN.
Yeah, no, so I'm interested to see who the Atlanta Falcons are going to go with. He had to run, so I'm assuming that pick is in for the New York Giants.
It is, and you were right. It is Evan Neal.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean,
I'm not surprised I'm right. Wow. Okay.
No. I was expecting that the New York Giants were going to go tackle with one of their picks. So I'm not surprised by the position they went with. And he's, to me, was a better prospect than Charles Cross. So that makes sense to me, right? I mean, we didn't get a chance to talk about Ike Ekwonu and his International House of Pancake Blocks. This dude is a road grader, Sam. It's great. He just lays waste to people. There is like a wake. He is a what is it, like a carrier ship? I mean, it's crazy how
aircraft carrier.
No. I mean, like, just he clears a path wherever he goes, and there is a body on the ground. It seems like every other play, courtesy of Ike Ekwonu. But Ekwonu, I think that he's not quite as polished as a pass blocker at left tackle. He could play guard wherever you need him, though. He certainly has an incredibly high ceiling. Evan Neal, though, I feel like is a little bit more polished. The only thing I see is like his hands. His hands are a little inconsistent, and I could see maybe some craftier edge rushers in the National Football League who are great with their hands, maybe giving him some issues in the beginning of his career. But outside of that, I mean, Evan Neal's a really damn good tackle prospect. So the New York Giants, who probably like there's an argument that Kayvon Thibodeau was like the number 1 edge rusher in this draft. They got him at 5. Then you get arguably the number 1 tackle prospect at number 7. They got to be pretty happy with their draft with 2 of their top 7 picks that they had. So
No, definitely.
cheers
I
to
think
the
this
Giants.
is
Cheers to the Giants.
cheers to the Giants. This is a great pick. I mean, this is someone that you can definitely see them, a franchise player right here. And clearly by the tape, you just need to watch a couple plays to get excited about this guy. Like you said, not only is he like a bulldozer over people, but it's like watching a building move through these lines, just the way that he pushes people down. So I'm excited to see him get some space for the offense. I mean, that's only going to help the Giants, who have needed help on the line so much this off season. But like you said, the Falcons are on the clock. Our good friend Mike Rothstein is busy dealing with whatever is going on there. I wonder if they're going to make a trade here and make Mike do a little bit of overtime to have to cover that information. But Falcons have a lot of needs that they need to meet right now.
I can't believe, like, when I'm looking at anybody that says like the needs of a team, and I have some stuff, some live trackers on right now for the NFL draft. If wide receiver is not the number 1 need for the Atlanta Falcons outside of maybe quarterback, then what is? It's like Kadero Hodge, Damiere Byrd, I mean, Auden Tate. Like, that's what we're looking at right now at wide receiver. But Sam, it's like, what's more important? Do you think Marcus Mariota is your future quarterback? Do you want to take a receiver, so either Mariota or another quarterback that they can develop in the 2nd round or maybe in a future draft? Like, where would you go if you're the Atlanta Falcons?
Well, I think I'm going to side with Mike on this one, just in that if the Falcons haven't been that excited by this current quarterback class to find their number 1 guy, I think that this is going to be a move where they go wide receiver, because like you're saying, they do not have a top end wide receiver right now. They have Kyle Pitts, which is great, and we were all excited about that last year, but he cannot be the only big target for them this coming season. And I think that they could address quarterback in the 2nd round or later rounds, because I think there are other players that could also fit the mold. And it seems to me like quarterbacks could drop as of right now in this draft. So why would they go out and grab someone that they don't feel is the franchise guy?
They already have dropped. I mean, when's the last time we've gone an NFL draft where there was not a quarterback taken in the first 7 picks? I don't have that like stat.
I don't have
handy,
that stat either.
But it has to be very rare, at least since 2000. Because of how important the quarterback position is in the National Football League in today's NFL. So that's, and not to mention, Sam, there's been like quarterback needy teams picking in the first 7 picks. I mean, some of them have 2 opportunities. Are you really a believer in Daniel Jones? I mean, apparently the Giants are.
Apparently they are. They're not saying what the rest of us are saying. But that aside, we do have our next guest ready and in the green room. Very excited to have her on. The lovely Casey Kasem of the Dynasty Addicts podcast. Casey!
Hey, kiddo.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. So happy to have you on. Tate, Casey and I probably talk a little bit too much offline about just a bunch of random stuff. So forgive us if we do like a mini fangirl moment. I get to see my friend.
Hey. Yeah, that's exciting. Especially since I don't know anything about anything right now, what's going on. I'm just like taking it all in, because I was just on with the DAP network and they're all talking and asking me questions. And I'm like, that dude has swag. That dude looks pretty cool. I think your team is going to be on the right track with a dude that can dress himself that fly. So,
well, what we can talk about is the Atlanta Falcons did just take a wide receiver off the board. We were talking about how the Falcons have a huge need at wide receiver. Drake London is off the board.
oh,
Tate, what do you like about this wide receiver going first? He was top of my list for this class.
Oh, it's weird that he didn't run at his pro day, but who cares? I mean, this guy looks like Mike Evans to me. It's like, if you put him in like a Scooby-Doo episode and you have Mike Evans' face on him and you remove his face and it's Drake London. That's to me, I see a lot of similarities. London's a great 50-50 ball player. For a guy that's his size, you don't see his like that type of hip fluidity and being able to get in and out of breaks and drop your hips and he's really an impressive prospect, and I'm really excited. whether it's for Marcus Mariota or whoever else they bring in this draft at quarterback, I think that Drake London and Kyle Pitts are going to be a problem for opposing secondaries for a long time there in Atlanta.
So then would you say for dynasty purposes, because I know that Casey, you do a lot of dynasty as well, is he someone that would move up your board, or is this going to be a player that gets more and more hype as we get closer to drafts?
I mean, honestly, yes, I think I would move him up a little bit, but I've been eyeing him. I mean, the tiers, like, really, honestly, like, you're kind of splitting hairs when you're looking at some of these guys. So, if he's there where I am drafting from, I'm going to be like, okay, cool. But the hype is going to continue to grow. So
definitely, especially in a group where he has full opportunity to move into a number one position very early, because the Falcons don't have anyone that is taken that number one spot. So he is just ready and prepped.
Yep.
Yeah.
Targets.
Yep.
What we love in fantasy is volume and opportunity, and he's going to have a lot of that. So that's just going to be one of those key phrases that gets added to his name everywhere we talk about.
But I mean, Casey, I do want to ask you though, like, given that Marcus Mariota is the quarterback there as of this moment, do you see folks maybe overreacting given that his situation is not the best landing spot for immediate, like, because the Falcons are probably going to have a bottom third offense in the NFL as far as scoring goes. Do you think that drops Drake London a little bit on draft day for folks with high rookie picks?
Yeah, I think that, in that situation, a lot of people are, well, not a lot of people, but a lot of people are in win now mode, right? Or they don't want to think about the, future years, what's going to, and what kind of product are you getting right now versus what you're going to have in a few years. So yeah, I think that maybe people are going to be a little hesitant because of the quarterback situation.
Just called the hezzy, like, you're
gonna feel good about drafting him if you draft him, but if you're one of those people that's like needs it right now, you're just gonna have to learn to chill a little bit.
So if you're in a dynasty league where you're sitting a middle tier and you're hoping to just continue to build equity, he would be a good grab for you, but maybe not someone that's looking to win a league this year.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I honestly, for not knowing anything about rookies, but knowing about how dynasty works, obviously you listen to people such as you guys who can actually give you the information. But yeah, so that's how I look at it. So perfect way to put it.
All right, let's talk about the Fantasy Football Expo that's coming up, because I know that you're going to be you've asked me to join the women's panel that you're leading, and Derek's going to be at the Fantasy Football Expo. You went last year. Tate and I are both new to the table. Please help us get excited about this expo and what we can look forward to.
Yes. Okay. So let me tell you, I might not be the best person just because last year's it didn't go the way that I wanted it to, just because of my own fault, not because of the event itself. And there were wonderful moments. So get excited for the fact that you're going to be able to meet so many people. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm going to have to cut back on my alcohol this year, and then it'll be great. But so make sure, just hydrate. How about that? Make sure you can keep drinking the same amount that you want to, but make sure you drink some water in there, because I had my sister with me last year, and I don't trust her to tell me to drink water when she's sober. So, like, but yeah, get excited. Draft night out is super dope. I mean, but the best part is just walking around and just meeting so many people that you've only seen on the internet. It's crazy, but awesome.
I love
I've only seen Sam on the internet. We've had a show together for 3 years, and I've still only seen her version.
Yeah, see, yeah, I was just talking to Britt, and on my podcast over there, Britt Flynn, and she was talking about how she hasn't met her co-host in real life either, and that they're gonna all meet up and stuff. So it's like really a really cool, like, summer camp type of thing for fantasy football peeps.
I love that. It's a perfect analogy. It is going to be like summer camp for all of us because in our fantasy football space, we do only know each other from these little squares.
Yeah.
And these lovely interactions that we get to guest on each other's podcasts. But I'm
sure.
really looking forward to it. And so a pro tip would be hydrate. I love that.
Hydrate.
And then I've also heard just take in as many panels as you can.
For sure. I did a like Dynasty Trade Calculator had a cool, one that off to the side that I went to because I was a part of their thing for like 3 seconds. But me, that's what I hop around. And then, like just the Dynasty one in general was like super, like they gave tips and there were so many people there that you like have read their stuff and you've listened to their podcast. So to be able to have them sit there and explain exactly where they're coming from, it's super awesome. And you can ask questions and do all of that. So especially for people who are like me, who are like, I don't know what I'm doing really in Dynasty. It's really pretty cool to like be able to go.
You're so crazy humble. You know exactly what you're doing.
I mean, if I did, I wouldn't be getting. Never mind. We're not going to get into that. But no, I'm only in 3 Dynasty leagues. Life happens,
but still,
I'm in
3.
6. It's a problem.
Well, yeah,
I
I had a lot, and then I had to I just can't. I had to cut back because I'm like, it gets to be expensive after a while. I don't want my wife being like, what's this freaking charge for? Why are you paying $45? And why are you drafting right now in April? So, I mean,
see, this is just adding to the reasons why I need to stay single. I don't need anyone checking on how many leagues I'm in because I'm in like 12 to 15 a year.
Oh yeah. Once that rings on your finger, like it's it's like, you want to stay married or do you want to stay in 12, 15, 22 Dynasty leagues? So,
I mean, for me right now, because I'm very, very single, the decision's super easy. It's like football all day. Like I'd rather just do that.
I mean, some days I feel the same way. So,
oh my God.
She's coming to the expo, so
Oh, good. I can't wait to meet her. Do you have anything new coming out that you want to plug while we still have you?
Oh man, I've just been putting out episodes of Get Real with Casey Kasem, which is my interview podcast with people in the fantasy football space. Sam has been on the podcast. Everybody should listen to that episode. Super dope, super dope. 51 episodes right now. And I have Chris Allen I have lined up to come on, and a few other guys. So yeah, pretty dope.
I love it. No, I also want to talk quickly about your Cowboys too, because I know you love them boys. How do you feel about this coming season? And obviously there's been a few players that are no longer on your roster. Are you sad or are you excited for new opportunities, more opportunities for CeeDee Lamb? Just give him all the targets.
I'm optimistic ? No. The wide receiver room scares me just because like if Lamb goes down, then look, those guys are probably viable. We've seen, but like, I don't still feel that comfortable with that situation being like that. And then the O-line and everything else, like I'm optimistic that things will get better because they seem to like get me happy. And then I start having to flounder a little bit and go down on the scale and then back up. So if, Dak can stay healthy, not that like he's super injury prone, but like you could tell that he wasn't right last year after he came back. Like I don't, so fingers.
He just wasn't 100%.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But he also is one of those guys that like over trains for stuff. So like he's like trying too hard to rehab quicker than he needs to, and he's always out trying to get everything perfect, which is a great character trait to have, but not when you overexert yourself. So hopefully he gets that all maintained and leveled out.
As a Cowboys fan, I do have to ask you, would you have rather kept Amari Cooper or parted ways with Ezekiel Elliott?
Parted ways with Mr. Ezekiel Elliott. My least favorite person, and no, not the person, but my least favorite athlete that I've ever met in my entire life. So that's that. Rude AF, but hey, what are you going to do?
Would you like some time to think about that?
No, I mean, I've never met Amari Cooper, so I'm really not sure how he is as a human being, but That's all
But
I have to
that
say
left
about
an impression and it wasn't a good one. So, you
No.
have that, and that's really unfortunate. These players we're watching on a day where dreams are coming true. These players are getting
Yeah.
into the league, and it's just unfortunate when some people kind of lose sight of what an amazing opportunity is to play
Mhm.
the sport you
Right.
love and you've loved growing up your entire life, and you get to do it just that's your job. You get to do an amazing job, and you get to
Right?
have fans that are just doing nothing but cheering you on. Sure, there's
Right.
some fans that are also, booing and all that other stuff, but at the end of the day,
Mm.
you get to be a professional athlete where kids wish they were you when they grew up. So
Right.
it's I want to err on the side of, optimism for these guys coming in. But that is a bummer. Maybe Elliott won't
He-
stay with the Cowboys forever.
Well, I mean, Zeke who didn't last very long. So, like, that is not the greatest situation to be in as a Cowboys fan, to know that this fourth overall
Right.
draft pick that you were like about when he came in, So I'm not like super excited about him. Amari Cooper, when he came to the Cowboys, like that put a little bit of a spark, that like really, with the way that I was feeling, it was like, sweet, we have that wide receiver core. We've got that. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tony Pollard, obviously,
Yeah, the
I mean, he
trio.
showed. Yeah. So, I mean,
I
Definitely had
really
the
like
trio
y'all's
that-
trio with Gallup and
Yeah.
Coop and
me
Lamb.
too.
And I mean
super
Gallup.
much.
I mean, I love that they signed Gallup for 5 years, but I mean, he's got to get healthy. I mean, like, well, hopefully he
Yeah.
gets back healthy this year to go with CeeDee Lamb.
Hopefully.
I was a little bummed when they let parted ways with Coop.
Me too. I don't know, because I've been calling it. I've been like, he's going to get traded like years and years ago. I was like, it's just a matter of time that he gets traded. They're going to keep, they drafted Lamb, but even before then, I was like, they have Michael Gallup, and when he's on, he's on. So I was like, all they need to do is get somebody that you can pair with him, and you're set. But they do things differently than I would. So what are you going to do?
Well, maybe at 20 in this first round, there's still a lot of wide receiver talent on the board. So maybe they go and address that in this first round. You never know.
But Garrett Wilson
Yeah.
just went. Garrett Wilson just went to
Ooh.
the New York Jets.
Ooh.
Charles Cross was selected by the Seattle Seahawks. So Garrett Wilson, real quick, Casey, thoughts on Garrett Wilson joining forces with Zach Wilson there in the Big Apple?
You know what? Awesome. You know what? I don't like. Awesome is just all I can, because I like Zach Wilson. I'm a Zach Wilson fan,
Love
and I was a Jamison Crowder fan when he was there with the Jets, because I was like, and I'm looking to get excited about a player that's on the Jets that I feel comfortable drafting and don't have to be like, what's going to happen. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I like that. I like that a lot.
I'm excited for this pick too. You're looking for teams again for fantasy purposes that have opportunity and they have talent, and he's going to a situation where he's going to get a lot of usage. And just on terms of just his style for the draft, I love the two-tone suit. He's got like a gray and a white suit at the same time, and he's got the pearls, which is such a different nod than the diamonds that you see so much of.
There's a
it's
like
lot
a Lil
of
Nas
swag.
X-esque MGK,
Yes,
pearls.
I'm here for it. I love it.
And the glasses. Oh yes, you look nice.
He looks
Neapolitan
really fly.
ice cream over here. It looks nice. I'm just saying. I don't know. I mean, the curtains are making his suit kind of have a strawberry-ish.
Yeah, it's picking up the other tones around the room. I love the look.
Optical illusion. It looks nice. It's like that dress.
I dig it. All right, Casey, where can everyone find you?
For sure. You guys can check me out on Twitter at DKCKSim, and the podcast on Twitter at GetReal_pod. That's how I always do my intros. So sorry that came out like that. But yes, Get Real with Casey Kasem is the name of my podcast. You can find that on most platforms that you get your podcast from. So just go check it out. Sam has an episode, so you definitely should check that one out at least.
Thanks so much, Casey. And the both of us look forward to finally meeting you in person at the expo in August. Cannot wait.
I know it's going to be super awesome. So yeah, definitely. Can't wait.
Enjoy the rest of the draft. Have a good night.
Hydrate. Stay hydrated.
Oh my gosh, I love her so much. She's just got such a fun energy.
Yeah, no, she's great. No, so I mean, it's interesting to talk about though Garrett Wilson. I mean, we have a little fantasy sprinkle in, like
We
you know,
do.
a little fantasy draft talk about.
But before you jump right in, because we finally have some good fantasy relevant info to talk about, let's bring on Doc. What better time?
Hey, Doc.
I don't have my boards behind me like Casey did, but I've been watching the draft, and is it exciting? I think I'm with you, Derek. Garrett Wilson, a little bit of Drake London starting at pick 8. The excitement ratchets up for us.
Absolutely. Hey, Mr. Wilson. I'm super excited. Although I was hoping Drake London would fall because I just thought it would be a little bit better fit, but Wilson moves all over the place. Great route runner, has the capability of kind of fitting into a 1A or 1B role. I really love his route running. I think he's going to be a constantly available option for Zach Wilson, another weapon in the arsenal there for the New York Jets.
Yeah, I mean, look at 10, and I don't know if you thought the same way, guys. It was like, was this the pick that they were going to trade for Deebo Samuel, right? Was this the pick that the 49ers are going to step up? But I don't think the 49ers want to move him. I don't think they have any intention of moving him. You know, Garrett Wilson's a stud. And I think as much as I like Jamison Wilson, had Jamison Wilson not been injured, maybe he's the pick there. But you don't want to wait 6 months. You want Zach Wilson working out with Garrett Wilson right now. You want Wilson squared working together so that when week 1 hits, they're ready to go. I love Drake London, and I really thought that Atlanta was going to take a receiver there. Who knows about Calvin Ridley? A year off from Ridley. I mean, that receiving core, you've got to give Kyle Pitts somebody else there. So I'm excited for both players. I think both players have an opportunity right away.
Well, our good friend Brian just updated our board, so we do see trade across our board right now. So it looks like there is a trade happening, so we will wait to see what that is. But I felt like we were waiting. The Saints do have a trade on the board, but we were waiting to see when the first trade would be. We were just talking with our friend Mike Rothstein over at ESPN for the Falcons, and he was thinking maybe they would make a trade. I'm kind of surprised that it's taken this long to see one.
You know, I thought at any point, so Jacksonville wanted to get out of 1. Nobody really wanted 1. I think that the Texans never really thought about getting out at 3. I think they wanted Stingley. The Giants talked about getting out at 7. But, you know, look, when you're taking Thibodeau and Neal, why are you getting out? I mean, you need to stay in. So I think at this point, the Commanders, I really thought wanted London or Wilson. I did. I think they needed a number 2. Yep. And now that both guys are not there, the fact that I could see the Saints moving up and maybe taking the quarterback here before anybody else gets them. That makes a lot of sense. So I think we're going to see more wheeling and dealing now than we did obviously in the beginning.
So it does look like
but here's the big question, Sam.
Saints.
I was going to say, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on you there, Sam.
Sorry, no, I wanted to make sure I read it right. So the Commanders did trade number 11 to the Saints, and the Saints are on the clock.
Yeah, they're going to take a quarterback.
But which one? That's what I was going to ask.
Don't take mine.
Which one do you want? Malik Willis?
I want Malik Willis all day. What do you want, Sam?
I want Malik Willis for the Steelers so bad. So bad.
But see,
he would look so good in these colors.
He's not ready. And I think that if you have Jameis Winston for a year, you know, you basically tutor Malik Willis for a year and then you let him run with the team because, look, he's just more talented than Pickett. I mean, Pickett's floor is good, but Willis's ceiling is like through the roof.
He has so much potential. Like this, he could be that next franchise player for a team. So if the Saints take him right now, I will be very sad.
The ceiling is retractable for Malik Willis because it's really I believe it's only himself that's going to prevent him from being successful. And in particular, from a fantasy perspective, with his rushing capabilities, oh goodness. I mean, we're talking like a guy that could win fantasy leagues. We're talking Jalen Hurts. I think he's better than Jalen Hurts, me personally.
Right, but
it's like a top 5 quarterback last year.
But it's like Lamar Jackson, Derek. Has Lamar put the work in to be a great passer?
I believe he has.
But Malik can be better than that if he's got a better arm than Lamar Jackson.
It does.
Yeah.
Absolutely does. And Doc, like I was just saying, from Lamar Jackson, you saw what he was as a rookie. And think about where he's evolved to this very day. I think he's come a long way as a passer. But I agree with you that as a natural thrower of the football, Malik Willis has way more arm talent than Lamar Jackson ever wished he had.
Right. Totally.
I'm a little concerned about the offensive weapons for the Saints right now, though, just because obviously Alvin Kamara has had several off the field issues. Michael Thomas was a question mark all last season, and both of which are names that you put in the arguable top 5, top 10 at the position. So if you're bringing in a rookie quarterback right now to go alongside Jameis Winston, I mean, are you really working for a longer rebuild because you don't have that solid ground with those position players?
Well, look, the Saints made that trade with the Eagles, right, to get the 2 picks. So this gave them that flexibility to move up even more. I think a lot of people thought that. The Saints, you're not winning with Jameis Winston, right? There's no upside there. There's mediocrity at best. So you've got to do something to give yourself a chance for a rebuild. Michael Thomas, I didn't think he was ever going to play again for the Saints, but it looks like he will. Kamara, is he on the downside? Probably, but I think you still have maybe 2 or 3 years left with them, but you now have to build around somebody and you need a quarterback. You can't win in today's NFL without a quarterback. And I think if it is Willis, and it'll be interested to see if it is, that he presents the largest upside, where Pickett is the win now guy, but I think Winston and Pickett do the same thing for the next year.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the pick is in and they're walking across the stage. Doc, we're realizing that everyone across this show has been on a slightly different time delay. Sometimes Tate gets the news before me and sometimes I get it before him. So we're just having that fun little circle between who gets to see what the pick is when it comes in.
Well, it's funny in basketball when they do the NBA draft, usually these guys tweet it out before it happens. And I hate that. I hate them when they ruin it. Here, I just want Roger Goodell. I know.
We're all waiting. Don't ruin it. Oh my gosh.
What would be really surprising is if the Saints move up and they don't take a quarterback here. That would be very surprising.
Well, who would you take? Jermaine Johnson?
It wouldn't be Jermaine Johnson for me. No.
Kyle Hamilton?
I was going to say Kyle Hamilton, because I have him as one of the top 5 players in this draft, and his versatility on the defensive side, I think he's a chess piece, like a queen on the chessboard defensively. So it would be Kyle Hamilton if I were trading up here for a non-quarterback.
I have no problem with them doing that. None. I mean, you go and you get Hamilton, you're talking about a guy who's got top 5 ability, who if he had gone to the Falcons at 8, I wouldn't have been shocked at all. That he's there at 11. I think you've got to get the best players. You can't win in the NFL without the best players. And Hamilton absolutely could be a top 5, safety within 2 or 3 years.
Sam, do we have any word on who the actual pick is?
Well, I'm a little confused because they have a lot of Chargers players on the stage right now, like Austin Eckler's on the stage. But why is he going to make the pick for the Saints? That's why I'm so confused right now. So if my face looks like it's kind of doing a contorted thing, I'm like, did then they just pivot and are they trading to the Chargers? I'm confused. This is a weird moment. But they also
Am I allowed to step away for a second? I got to go.
You can step away.
Thank you. I'll be just a second.
Yeah, it's fine. You have a kid, Tate. You have to do
You
what
got
you've
the
got to do. We give him permission to walk away. I mean, it'll be really interesting if they don't make a trade like this and they don't take a quarterback. But I had Kyle Hamilton going to the Lions at 2 if Hutchinson went to the Jags. So I'm kind of surprised that he's still on the board. So definitely
You had him going as high as 2? You really thought he was going to be number 2?
I just felt like, the Lions do have a lot of different needs, and I feel like he is, for me, he's top at his position, and I think that would have just been, another ace for them. But, for both the Jags and the Lions, I don't think they could have messed up this pick. Oh, the Saints took wide receiver Chris Olave.
Wow. You know what? Look, is Olave the next best receiver on the board? He is. Was he going to last later on in this round? Probably not. So that you had to jump a few teams to get him. You do what you got to do. I mean, it's funny how we always think that teams, trade up for the quarterback.
Yeah.
Here, Olave was clearly the 3rd best receiver out there. Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Jameson Williams is right there. But once again, we have that injury factor. Without that injury factor, Williams, I think, is the pick here. But look, Olave does a lot of good things for this team and gives them an opportunity to have some offense, just like you're saying, Sam. Maybe Michael Thomas is not long for there. Maybe Alvin Kamara is on the way down. Now, all of a sudden, Olave is a game-changing talent.
So then, pivoting back, because maybe the Saints take a quarterback later in this draft. I feel like quarterbacks are going to continue to slide in this draft, and maybe that's someone that just backs up Winston. And then everyone's talking about the 2023 draft class of quarterbacks is supposed to be a big step above what we're currently looking at in terms of just overall talent. So I wonder if, as a dynasty fantasy owner, am I looking at Chris Olave thinking, okay, this is going to be a guy I need to go out and get in rookie drafts, because in the next 5 years, could he be in that conversation of the top 10 just in terms of volume and opportunity with that offense? Just based on this move up, am I looking at it that way?
Well, yeah, the rookie draft in a dynasty league is a first-round pick.
Yes.
So we haven't seen where everybody shakes out. But right now we're looking at Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall when he goes, and Olave certainly. I mean, because he's got the opportunity. He's going to the Saints. Who else? Who's he competing with there? I mean, not too many guys, and he's got that kind of talent where he can start, if not week 1, by week 3. So sure, in a dynasty league, you want every part of Olave, you want every part of Drake Young, you want every part of Garrett Wilson. I mean, these are 3 guys who can absolutely play immediately.
I'm laughing because I can tell Tate is a little bit confused.
So wait, Chris Olave got drafted by the Saints?
So the Saints moved up so they could take Chris Olave, and there was just a trade. The Vikings traded with the Lions. The Lions are now on the clock, and their pick is in. So there are some interesting moves.
This is not going to be. I don't believe you. I'm not going quarterback here. I'm going to go Kyle Hamilton all day, every day.
I mean, I had him going in the
Hamilton right here.
Yeah, this has got to be the Hamilton pick, because I was just telling Doc that I had Hamilton going to the Lions as their first pick at 2.
Because that's.
Well, I'm looking at, like, it would make sense because you would pair him with I think it's Tracy Walker as a safety on the high end that you can move around, and Tracy Walker just got a 3-year deal, so you can kind of shore up the back end of your defense. Kyle Hamilton would make a lot of sense. I also think they could use a little bit of help at linebacker. I'm not going to say that they're trading up to get Devin Lloyd. I think that they can wait on, or Nakobe Dean or something like that. Hamilton would make sense. Are they going to try to also add another receiver? I know they signed DJ Chark in the offseason.
So you're saying go up and get Jameson Williams because that's the best guy here?
I mean, if they're okay with, they're not concerned about his ACL, then, Jameson Williams had a grade right around here without the injury. So, I would say that would, if you're going to get a wide receiver, maybe Treylon Burks, who's more of a satellite Deebo Samuel type player. Williams gives you that vertical threat. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot. You have TJ Hawkinson that also works the middle of the field. DeAndre Swift, who's a problem underneath.
I'm taking Hamilton.
You can layer it.
I'm taking Hamilton because Dan Campbell, these guys have been building with offensive line and defense and building in the trenches almost. And Hamilton is really special.
They've been weak across those lines for a significant amount of time. And I think what they've been doing these last couple of years is saying, like, okay, if we're going to be in this rebuild, we have to do the work behind the scenes that's going to make these other players shine later. Like, Hawkinson's going to have a shorter shelf life if you cannot protect him. He was injured last season, and they're going to need to shore up everything else in order to make everyone else successful. So I think that Hamilton's a great pick because, like you're saying, Tate, he fits perfectly on the other side there.
Well, again, another chess piece. You invest in Aiden Hutchinson, who is arguably who was my top player in the entire draft at number 2. You address the defensive side of the football up front. You can go back end and really begin to build that defense. They also invested in Jeffrey Okudah out of Ohio State just a couple of seasons ago. So, that it's starting to shape up there if you go that route. I would say if they're going off, I'm going to say they're going offense, though. Maybe get kind of split it up on both sides of the ball. I do think that they go and get Jameson Williams here. I don't know. It's probably I wouldn't do that, but I think that it makes sense if you're not worried about the ACL.
Who is it?
Jameson Williams.
Yep.
Jameson Williams. Tate, you need to get like a lottery card tonight. Doc, Tate has low key guessed almost every single pick tonight.
No, not every single one.
Well, you've gotten a lot of them.
Honestly, the right 2 picks there were Hamilton or Williams, because once the Saints traded up for Olave, you basically had Williams, and then the drop off becomes Burks and Dotson and all these other guys. So right now, the Eagles need a receiver desperately. A lot of teams, the Cowboys and all these teams need a receiver. So you got to jump up and say, hey, I'm not wasting any time. I'm getting an impact guy here, because the Eagles, I guarantee you, are taking Jamison Williams with their next pick to pair him up with Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at maybe George Pickens. You're looking at Traylon Burks. You're looking, I mean, that next tier, you can start to make an argument for a handful of guys. Sky Moore, but yeah, all of a sudden, this deep wide receiver draft is they're starting to get selected really quickly. They're flying off the board. We're not even halfway through the first round.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I did just get.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got an ESPN update. Philadelphia is on the clock. The Texans traded number 13 overall to the Eagles for number 15 and a fourth rounder and 2 picks.
Who was the 13th pick? Oh, that's this pick.
That's this pick. So the Eagles are on the clock now.
So the Eagles jumped up right here.
Yes, they did. So this, based on what you guys are just saying, could this be another wide receiver off the board, because they have this immediate need they need to fill, and they just saw what was arguably, you guys are talking about the drop off. They clearly don't want to end up with the next level drop off at that position.
Who do you think, Derek? Is it Pickens here? Because a lot of teams like him, a lot of teams don't. Burks, is a really good spot here. Do you, if you're the Eagles, do you take Burks here at 13? Is it too soon? Or do you take Jermaine Johnson or Hamilton, because Johnson really applies pressure?
I'm way higher on Hamilton than apparently people in the NFL draft or NFL GMs, because I think that he's an instant upgrade over Kayvon Wallace, in the back end. So I would think that he makes a hell of a lot of sense here. Jermaine Johnson, or Jordan Davis from Georgia. That dude's a brick wall. And he's an athletic brick wall up front. He's like a guy that you could pair with Fletcher Cox, and all of a sudden that unit up front for the Philadelphia Eagles is starting to shape up again. And really, they have another pick here unless they traded it away to move up a couple spots, which I don't think they did.
So yeah, so the Eagles moved 15 so they could go to 13. So that's the shift. So
what else did they give up though?
Did they give up like a second or a third or something? It's just 2 spots, so I imagine it's probably like a third. It's probably nothing crazy.
They for a fourth and 2 fifth rounders.
For a fourth, and then do we know what the Saints gave up?
I can try and pull it up.
I really am.
They acquired the 16, 98, and 120 from New Orleans.
Okay. All right. So it a little bit of shake, rattle, and roll. This is getting interesting. It's 3 straight trades we have. It's pretty crazy.
I know. You say that, right? That the trading was going to start now, because now it's about finding who you want, and nobody wants. Yeah.
This is everyone going to get their guy. This is everyone looking at what was the peak needs and seeing how many people fell in the draft, and then seeing, okay, I'm not waiting to see what I get. I'm going to go get what I need.
I think the quarterbacks. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doc. My apologies.
I'm saying I think the quarterbacks are very overvalued in this draft. I do. Yeah. I think Malik Willis is great, and I think there's a drop off. So in years past, people are trading up for quarterbacks. Now I think Sam, you're 100% right. I think teams are trading up for exactly what they need, and they're willing to give up a 4th or 5th round, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and no problem, to get a guy who can help me today.
Yeah. Tate?
Well, I'm just we're talking about, is it a receiver that the Philadelphia Eagles are targeting that they didn't feel that would last another 2 picks? Again, we mentioned Kyle Hamilton. I mentioned Jordan Davis, because I just think that he is so unique as far as what he brings to the interior defensive line position, that, guys like Aaron Donald or Fletcher Cox or anybody else that plays kind of that nose tackle or 3 defensive tackle position, those guys are so rare when you have an impact player at that spot. And Jordan Davis was, I think, the driving force of that Georgia defense that was pretty much all-time great. So I would not be shocked if it's Jordan Davis here.
I love it. By the way, can I go back to the very first pick of the draft? I think the Jaguars made a mistake.
Yeah.
I think when you look at Hutchinson's floor is so high, right? So basically he's like the guy who gets a 92 in class, where Walker could be the guy who gets a 98. But what if I told you he's the guy who gets an 82? Don't you want the guy who's the A- talent versus the guy who could be an A+ or a B? I don't know. I think when I'm the overall number one, I don't want to miss here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Lions, I think, literally tripped to get that pick in that quickly. I was the fastest number 2 pick I've ever seen in my life.
They did look like, it's probably, I'm hoping there was carpet so no one hurt themselves falling into a table for it. Danger joining us for a quick comment here saying, I'm so very sorry to Hutchinson and his family having to go to Detroit. Oh, Danger.
Area. He went to Michigan.
You went
They
to
played in
Michigan.
The dad went to Michigan. Come on, Danger. You know that.
He's just being sour because he couldn't join us for the show. I know where this is coming from. This is a FOMO comment. This is what this is.
Danger stopped by my house in northern Michigan and dropped me off craft beer. Like, why is it so bad up here? I mean, actually the weather does suck, but I mean,
that was nice of him.
That was very nice of him.
Oh,
yeah, he met my daughter. It was fantastic. It was lovely.
I heard Danger's much taller in person. I think he's a very big guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very tall. I mean, I'm 5'10" with the spikes on a good
he's
day.
like 6'4" or something like that.
But no, I mean, it was really cool. Then, of course, Danger, thank you for joining just to throw some shade at Detroit. That's very nice of you. So.
Very sweet. But yes, I do feel like this. If you had to pick a steal as of right now, I feel like the Lions got to steal Aiden Hutchinson in this draft. The fact that he just fell even one spot, because he's that much of a difference maker. And with the Lions working so hard to do this rebuild, this overhaul of the entire roster, he is going to be an insane piece to have going forward.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. The Lions, like, I apologize, Derek. The Lions, you get Williams and you get Hutchinson, you have an A draft.
Mm-hmm.
You have an A draft. You have 2 impact players. You agree, Derek?
Yeah, absolutely. And Hutchinson, not to mention, he's given me like JJ Watt type of vibes as far as like a guy that can be the face of your franchise. Like, he's coming to the office every day. He's working his tail off. You know what you're getting with Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions. And I love what Dan Campbell's doing. To be honest with you, I'm really a huge fan of what Dan Campbell and how hard that team fought last year, even though their record wasn't very good, but how competitive and how hard that team battled gives me a really bright outlook on them moving forward. And I like what they've done so far this draft.
Well, what you can tell with the Lions and the way that they played last year, there is a really good culture in that locker room, despite the losses. You can tell this team loves their coach. They love Dan Campbell. And so that's even better to bring someone like Aiden Hutchinson into this room, because that's another guy that's going to be a grinded out, clocks in before everyone, is the last one to leave. This kind of rolling up your sleeves mentality for the Detroit Lions, that's going to have to be in every position they bring aboard, because that's how much work needs to be done. But it's exciting in that sense to see, this is a team you're going to want to root for, even if you've never rooted for the Lions before, because it's going to be an exciting team to watch.
Hutchinson played at Michigan. Williams plays at Alabama. You're bringing in guys who are from winning programs who don't want to lose.
Yeah.
Playing for a coach who doesn't want to lose. That gets you better faster. DeAndre Swift goes to Georgia, right? St. Brown played at USC. These are guys from schools that don't lose football games. And that's how you change your culture, right? I think you still have to get that quarterback that you need, but you're doing it the right way. If Goff just doesn't kill you, you're building the right pieces.
So who did the Eagles take? And I imagine the Baltimore Ravens may be on the clock.
Well, the selection is in, and they're giving a nod to some Las Vegas local athletes. So that's what is the pause at the moment. And now it looks like Roger Goodell has opened the envelope, doing a little vamping here as I wait for the name to fly across my screen because I can't hear it. But it is Jordan Davis. Tate, another one. What are you doing, dude?
I'm on fire tonight, baby.
Buy a lottery ticket tonight. I'm telling you.
Ricky Bobby, I'm on fire.
Jordan Davis, an absolute beast of a man. This was the guy that coming out of the combine had people so excited that a man of this size ran a 40 at 4.78. This is a terrifying man to have to stand in front of if he's running at you. So very exciting to see this. I feel like he fits the vibe for the Philadelphia fans so much. I feel like Philadelphia Eagles fans should be excited with this pick.
I'm thinking this man, when you're facing him in the, like, staring right in the A gap, is like Godzilla. I mean, this guy is a problem right
I
in
think
the
that's his
middle
nickname,
of your
actually.
defense. You cannot move him. And he's way more athletic than you think for a man that size. Philadelphia, you had 2 first-round picks in this draft. You traded back into 2023 in case things don't work out with Jalen Hurts. I love the move to go up and get him because I don't know if he would have gotten past the Baltimore Ravens. So,
no.
Tip of the hat. I love Jordan Davis. I'm high on him.
Right. The Ravens are 100% taking Jermaine Johnson. Don't even question it. I think he's going here because they love these guys around the edge. The Eagles, though, are that one team that always appreciates interior linemen. You ever realize that? They always have guys who clog up that middle, which you're going to need. In that division, you're going to need guys like that. So I think it was, is it the sexiest pick? If you're an Eagle fan, you're like, no, we could have had this guy. We could have this guy. I think it's going to turn 5 years from now. This turns out to be one of the smartest picks they made.
Definitely agree with that. I mean, such a difference maker. Like this is one of those moves where if you look back on the draft and you think, okay, give me your top 3 picks that are difference makers and we're in week 6, we're going to still be talking about Jordan Davis.
Oh, I'm all about it. The more chances to talk about Jordan Davis, the better for me. So I'm in love with the pick. I thought it was great. Either him or Kyle Hamilton would have been my picks there. So I kudos to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, Doc, while we still have you for a couple minutes, what are you going to be doing to spend the rest of this draft? Or I'm sure that you are taking copious notes. I know how you are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, watching it. My son and I were watching it before. So now when I'm out of the room, he's probably watching that and then flipping to the NBA playoffs back and forth.
Oh, actually, I did just see that Philadelphia did just beat Toronto. So,
right. And I think the Suns game was really close with the Pelicans. So we were watching that. But look, this draft is now starting to get super interesting fantasy-wise, right?
Definitely.
Why? Those quarterbacks in question, the running backs, Hall, Walker, when these guys go, more receivers who are going to get these guys. There haven't been a ton of offensive talent yet, but it's unfolding. So I just also want to look at it from one other way. Sauce Gardner, for example, okay? Love the pick for the Jets. Love it. Who's covering Stephon Diggs for the Jets? Sauce. Who's going to cover Tyreek Hill? Sauce. I start thinking about these things. I love Stephon Diggs in fantasy, but maybe I like him just a hair less because this kid, maybe not in the first year, but get him by year 2 or year 3, you might be talking about another, Jair Alexander, Darius Slay type of shutdown cornerbacks.
That's such a good point. I mean, because how many times do we talk about matchups week in and week out and we say we have an asterisk on that 1 week because they're playing this one team that's going to have this one shutdown corner. And this is a really important note to take going forward into this season.
It's always important to have guys to slow down in today's NFL where you really can't touch people. And it's an acquired. I always equate cornerbacks to being the offensive linemen of the defense because you have to be able to get in the way and get your hands on these special athletes on the outside. And if you have folks that can do that, you give yourself a chance to get after the quarterback, which is the most valuable thing on the defensive side of the football in today's NFL.
I think in today's NFL, there's so much passing. If you can't stop the pass, I mean, look at the Bills. Bills didn't make it any further for the playoffs because they couldn't stop the pass, right? If they had Tre'Davious White back there, do they win that game?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. They probably do. Josh Allen was perfect. Josh Allen literally played a damn near perfect game, and they still lost.
Well, guys, if you are tuning in, please give a follow if you haven't already. How you could not be following at Dr. Roto right now is beyond me because Doc is a gem and absolutely all over all things fantasy and our leader over at drroto.com, who we love following.
I appreciate it. You guys are doing a killer job tonight, and I appreciate you helping out. And Derek, I swear to you, I'm following every pick from you, and I'm going to the FanDuel Sportsbook to bet it.
All right. I'm saying
no pressure.
Lock up Zion Johnson going to the New England Patriots. I'm just feeling it. They're going to replace Shaq Mason with him. Go to the sports book. I don't know. Put like $5 on it and see what happens, I guess. But
Done.
I love it. Thanks so much, Duck. Enjoy watching the rest of the draft with your son.
Okay, you two guys, take care. See you soon.
Good
Have a
night.
good night. Bye. I love Doc. He's the best.
There's a reason why they call him the Doc. There's no even reason to say Roto. It's just Doc.
It's just Doc.
It's just Doc.
Yeah.
It's just Doc.
Well, this is perfect timing because we're about to have another guest here who is a Ravens fan, and the Ravens pick is in, and Kyle Hamilton is finally off the board.
Damn. It took a while, but to the Ravens, huh?
But I think it's a good landing spot for him.
Well, again, they like versatility on the defensive side of the football. So the fact that, I mean, I know they have Chuck Clark and they just signed Marcus Williams at safety. So, but look, Patrick Queen has sucked in coverage. Like, he's been really, 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 really bad. And could you see Hamilton, who played a little bit of slot? I mean, he did a little bit of everything in Notre Dame. His versatility, I think, fits to a T what this Baltimore defense wants to do. So I love the Kyle Hamilton pick for the Ravens.
Well, let's go ahead and get Annie on the show at Sweet Annie Odd. Thank you so much for joining. Your Ravens just picked Kyle Hamilton. How do you feel?
Sorry, sound just cut out, so I did not hear anything you just said.
That is totally fine. Your Ravens just finally made their pick, and they took Kyle Hamilton off the board. How do you feel about this pick?
Honestly, as a Ravens fan, but also a huge Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, I am stoked about this pick. I am stoked about the addition to our defense. I couldn't be happier that he fell to number 14. Honestly, great draft so far. I'm loving it. I got a little nervous at first, seeing some names shuffle here and there around the board, but we're always surprised on draft night. So I can't hate it. I'm pretty happy with the pick.
Definitely a good addition to the squad. Going to be really tough to face each other as always every year. You just made it much harder for my Steelers. So thank you so much for that.
Anytime.
Really appreciate it. How are you enjoying the draft night? I know there's just been a very big flurry of trades very quickly. There was quiet and then a bunch of them all at once, making us all sweat over here.
Like I said, it's always crazy. And I know we're all following on Twitter too. And the picks are getting leaked like 5-6 minutes before Roger Goodell has even finished announcing like 2 picks before. So I mean, I get it. And insiders have a job to do, but I feel like it kind of ruins the suspense, the excitement of hearing that pick announced. So that's a bit of a bummer, but you got to love the trades. I love the shuffling. I love chaos, especially when my team is not involved. So I can't hate it. So
can't hate it at all. So how do you feel like the Ravens are going to finish out this year's draft? Any other needs you're really hoping that they address?
Honestly, I mean, it's tough because it's hard when you go off like last season, because I feel like, not to say it was a fluke, but I feel like the Ravens just kind of from the get-go had no backfield. So you're kind of just hoping everybody comes into camp healthy and plays the way they're supposed to. But more offensive weapons for Lamar, I will always accept. Would love maybe a wide receiver or two. Can't help but bolster up that O-line either. When it comes to the draft, I think the more the merrier. Honestly, at quarterback, I think we're pretty solid. Lamar, I like Tyler Huntley. I liked what I saw from him last season. So any other, position needs there, I would be pleased with, because, I mean, I think the best part of the draft is we're really seeing the dreams come true for these young men here. And, at the end of the day, it's what they do with that opportunity come camp time. But that's the coolest part to me, is just seeing, the families, the emotion, the celebration, and everyone coming together. That, we still have a few months left to go till kickoff in week 1, but we'll take any chance we can get to celebrate the game of football. We take it, and I love that.
I just saw across the board. Did the Ravens trade away Marquise Brown just now?
What?
I know. I'm so confused.
What?
Don't get fake Schefter.
I don't know what just happened, but a graphic came across the board and it looked like there was a trade between the Ravens and the Cardinals.
Hollywood traded Hollywood and the 100th pick to the Cardinals in exchange for the 23rd pick. What?
Oh my!
Well, I can imagine you're going wide receiver at that 23rd pick.
Oh my God. Hollywood. No. What? Oh my God.
I literally just got goosebumps. I was like, oh my God, I was not expecting that trade. We're not expecting player trades right now necessarily, but that one I was not expecting.
Just as I was saying, I was like, I like when we're not involved. I cursed it. That's my fault there. I brought that on myself. So don't tell. Apologies to the Ravens fans that are watching right now. I'm sorry, but don't tell Twitter. They'll get mad at me. But oh my God, what? Wait,
I thought he was going to go. I thought he was retiring to be a Twitch video gamer or something like that. Damn. All right. Now he's going to Arizona.
Nowadays, anything's I mean, Le'Veon Bell's now a rapper. You know, you've got what does that Chase Claypool do on the side now?
Oh, I don't know.
Whatever Chase Claypool wants to do.
Not a Notre Dame man. I love him, but I know he's always on Twitch, on TikTok. I'm like, yo, this man's everywhere, getting his.
He
coin.
is everywhere. On occasion, he's hanging out in Orange County too. So we'll have to keep an eye out this summer to see if he takes another vacation out here.
Oh, absolutely!
That was wild.
I'm so in.
Wild to let Annie do that. To react to that in live time, Annie. I apologize. But that was grade A entertainment.
Oh no! Oh my God! I thought she was kidding. I thought she was playing me for a second.
No, if I wanted to play with you, I would be like, "Oh my God! It looks like the Ravens just traded Tyler Huntley to the Steelers. How weird is that?"
Oh God! Don't say that.
That would be my joke, because I feel like, I mean, you brought him up earlier, but for me, I feel like the Ravens kind of gave away a little secret to the sauce kind of recipe on the back end by showing off just how talented Tyler Huntley is as the backup to Lamar, because a lot of times everyone has said, well, if Lamar goes down, it's going to be it. That's going to be it. Who can replace him? Who can do what Lamar Jackson does? In walk Tyler Huntley. And he was just chef's kiss as far as a replacement. I don't think you could have asked for more from a backup quarterback to fill those shoes any better.
Oh, absolutely. Especially given, Lamar was able to take the team to 8-4 with the injuries, COVID. I mean, Tyler Huntley, he did what he could, but we saw some bright lights from him. Not bright lights, excuse me. It's a lot of potential from him, just given the situation he was in. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, this last season didn't end the way that was at all anticipated or promised by the Ravens, but, another season, everyone get back healthy. We'll see what happens, but I'm very comfortable with this QB1, QB2 situation for sure.
It was wild to see Mark Andrews continue / even see his production jump with Tyler Huntley under center. That was awesome, because I had so many shares of Mark Andrews. That's great. I loved it. I ate that up.
Honestly, when you've got limited weapons and limited targets, you got to do what you can with them. So it didn't surprise me whatsoever. So, and that just makes me think about this trade even more. They got to go for a wide receiver. If you're trading,
what do you think about Rashad Bateman, though? What do you think about Rashad Bateman?
I love him. I think he needs a full year. Because I think, when did he come in? Because he was injured. He came in, I want to say week 5? Week 5 around that time. Yep. So I think a full season, getting comfortable, full camp with him, healthy camp, fingers crossed. I'm not taking any chances this season. Hopefully that turf in Maryland is fixed and we're not having any problems here. But I'm hoping for a full season from him. I can't wait.
Y'all lost 3 starting running backs in 12 days.
I know.
Prior to
Thank you for the reminder.
Find a different practice facility. Something's not good. That's bad.
I know. Well, that was nuts.
I'm also going to throw this out there, Annie. Last year was the first year that I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm taking Ravens running backs because I just need to do it. They're fantastic. It's a run-first team. I'm never going to fail with this. I took every single one. Every single one that I had the runner up. So I planned for it too. So I had J.K. Dobbins and I was like, okay, and I'm going to get his backup. And then he went down and I'm like, cool, I'm going to get his backup. And then they just kept dropping my flies. I'm like, I just need to stop picking up Ravens running backs. It's my fault. So I'm going to say sorry. I'm really sorry that I was taking them because I was hoping for positivity. And maybe I was just like jinxing myself and everyone else because they kept going down.
The Steelers gods saw that and they were like, oh, you thought.
I'm trying to be I'm sorry.
So I think we have a couple picks in though. If I'm looking at my tracker correctly, I see that the Houston Texans took Kenyon Green, guard from Texas A&M. the Washington Commanders, Jahan Dotson.
Okay.
I mean, Jurassic Park, anybody? Dotson. We have Dotson here. I mean, see, no one cares. It's Carson Wentz. I'm that's rude. But anyway.
It's not wrong. Not wrong. I'm sorry.
Not wrong. But a very,
That's
very
my
nice.
thing. Of all the guys, of all the QBs that were available and like being shopped around, how do you say Carson Wentz? That's our guy. That's the man to lead the Washington Commanders to the promised land. And honestly, I was rooting for the guy. I was hoping he would have a resurgence with the Colts and come back, prove everyone wrong. Obviously, that didn't happen, and we'll see what he does here. But I was like, really? Like I thought he'd be one of the last quarterbacks to find a home, but he ended up being one of the first. I was like, okay.
He's got to go back to Philly every year? Like,
that's going to be brutal.
What? I mean, but you look at the Commanders, and really, you add Jahan Dotson. He's explosive. I actually really like him. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Hollywood Brown, just not as fast. And then you got Curtis Samuel, who should be healthy, and then you got Terry McLaurin. I mean, on paper, it's not. I mean, they're all small, but they should have a decent, pretty explosive wide receiver unit. I mean, it's Carson Wentz, though. I just don't trust Carson Wentz.
No, definitely not. But I mean, at least for someone like McLaurin, what you hope is that Dotton's going to have the speed to draw coverage, to get to open up the field so that Lauren's not going to have these double teams that's going to be constantly shutting him down. So he can finally be our top 10 wide receiver for fantasy purposes that we keep drafting him to be, but he keeps just missing the mark. And it's because they got nobody else. So I feel like this is a good depth position, a depth add for them. So hopefully this is someone that can start to sneak up the draft board. But again, to your point, Annie, I feel like I can't get that excited because it's Wentz under center. I would almost be more excited. I was excited watching Taylor Heineke. Maybe it was just me, but he had a better energy to me that I enjoyed watching. I know he still needs a lot of work. He needs tons and tons of work, but like, I'm just not excited to watch Carson Wentz throw the ball.
You also just love the story of Taylor Heineke. I think that also added to it.
Old Dominion, ODU. I mean, guy that like he actually gave the Bucks a run for their money, like in the Super Bowl run that Tampa Bay had with Tom Brady. Like, I'm wearing an old Buck shirt. I mean, it happens. Like, I'm waiting for Tom Brady to retire. Oh wait, he retired. Oh wait, he came back. Okay, cool. I'm all with it. We have one more season where I'm not like be competitive. I'm gonna be like enjoy it. But point being, Taylor Heineke showed flashes, but they gave him a season, Sam. They did. I mean, in today's NFL, and he doesn't have the high draft capital. I mean, they gave Taylor a chance. And I mean, I like him as a person. I love his story. It's just, he's kind of going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick to me, probably. He's going to be like a career backup from now on.
Well, the Chargers just took Zion Johnson, guard out of Boston College. So filling
Damn
in more. I know. You had him going elsewhere.
I wanted him to fall to Tampa Bay, but that's okay.
It's
okay. It's a good pick.
Good pick. I feel like the Chargers are so close. Maybe it's just because I really want to get more sunshine memes going with Justin Herbert, but I'm just excited to see that offense click a little bit more. Why are you rolling your eyes at me, Tate?
Don't you dare compare him to Ronnie Bass. Like, I mean, Ronnie Bass is a California dreamboat.
Okay, there's another trade that just happened. The Titans are trading A.J. Brown to the Eagles for the number 18 overall pick and a third-round pick. Holy crap!
Stop!
I'm shaking. That was an ESPN one. That wasn't a mess up. And I think they're honestly intentionally not putting Schefter on some of these these messages coming out.
Bullshit! You're serious?
Wait, what?
It just happened. It just happened.
Oh my God!
Titans are trading A.J. Brown to the Eagles for number 18 overall.
Why would the Titans do that?
There's now Shefty's tweeting them.
Oh my God.
The Titans really did that.
They did that.
Why?
Unless I get a JK like message to follow this, that just happened.
They got the number 1 seed in the AFC last year with A.J. Brown in and out of the lineup, with Julio in and out of the lineup, with Derrick Henry out for half the season, and you trade away A.J. Brown? Oh, you... Everywhere we go, people want to know why the hell you did that. Like, I'm quoting Remember the Titans now. Here we are, Ronnie Bass. If
I'm Ryan Tannehill, I am punching air right now.
Oh my God. But I mean, for Robert Woods, who's now a Tennessee Titan, is he the number one wide receiver there? Did that just completely shift things around? Because
That
I mean, I
just
was excited
happened.
to have him pair up, but yeah. So now it looks
Austin
like Robert
Hooper?
Woods is what?
Austin Hooper, quiet tight end, flyer later. Anyway, all right, I'm sorry. I won't. One does not speak Austin Hooper's name, who's had him the last 2 seasons in Cleveland. But anyway, he's in Tennessee now. Now you're looking at the pass catchers there. It's ugly.
Whew.
Do they bring back Julio? Just kidding.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, now it's just coming across the screen. Again, Titans just traded the 18th overall pick and their 3rd round pick to the Eagles for AJ Brown. So this answers the question of who's going to help out Devonta Smith there for Philadelphia. AJ Brown is a fantastic double alongside him. New wide receiver 1 immediately.
So I'm going to raise my hand. The Titans have to be taking a wide receiver here, right? And really the top one left is Traylon Burks from Arkansas. You have to replace AJ Brown.
Right.
You would have to.
Unless they know something we don't.
Yeah.
I'm right.
There is a clear vacancy.
George Pickens, maybe. I'm thinking they got to replace AJ Brown because they got Bob Woods there, Bobby Trees. That's it.
Yeah. I love my Bobby Trees, but he needs help. He can't be the only guy. He works really well when he's working off of someone. Yeah.
I normally don't get this emotional about the Titans. I really apologize.
Well, I think it's because we just had 2 back-to-back player trades that none of us were expecting. There's been plenty of news this week about other wide receivers that were unhappy with their teams, or maybe they're on the move. There's plenty of other conversations. These names were not in that list. These are surprises.
Hollywood really surprised me. Like, AJ Brown wants a new contract. Hollywood is more perplexing to me. You want to
He and Lamar were like this too.
I know. Why would you do that to Lamar?
Man. They were happy playing together. EDC, he number 23 better have a plan. I need. What was the reason? I feel like Cardi B when she's like, "What was the reason?" I better learn what it is. And listen, that's one thing when you're like trying to be like an analyst, but you also have like emotional attachment to the team and the players. You got to like put the emotion aside and you're like, okay, let's put the non-biased thinking cap on. Why would I do this? And I'm just trying to think here. And I'm like, unless you're like, yo, we got to make room for Rashad Bateman to be wide receiver 1 and then pick up a young guy to go in behind him. I mean, if that's the plan, giddy up, I'm in, but I can't think of any other reason.
You had a 24-year-old that just posted a 90-catch, 1,000-yard season who is a vertical threat to complement Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. Wow. That, like you said, I don't know the grandmaster plan, but on the surface, it makes me go, huh?
Right. I mean, and you think about the other end. Think about him going to the Arizona Cardinals now. How does that field look now? Trying to make Kyler Murray happy? Is that what's happening here?
That's exactly what's happening.
Part of it.
Yeah.
Like, working on making sure that
please stay. Here's some toys for you. Please stay.
Yeah, you don't have Christian Kirk anymore. You still have Hopkins, but he can't be the only guy. So here's Marquise Brown. Are we good?
Kyler's going to Miami. I have a feeling they're not giving him a new contract. I think he's going to Miami. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
But the Dolphins aren't going to make that move this year. That's like a 2023 discussion.
No. I'm saying,
I don't know, but like
the Dolphins become the Denver Broncos and the Cleveland Browns of this offseason. Disgruntled quarterback that want a great landing spot and weapons for days. That's how I see the Miami Dolphins. But maybe Tua works out.
That could shake up that AFC East picture.
It really could.
Best way possible, though.
It could
like
shake
the
things
AFC
up.
Needs another top flight quarterback under the age of 30. Like, they're loaded. It's crazy.
I know.
Except the Jets, unfortunately, right now. But that's
Zach Wilson just has to, he has to go through puberty and then he'll be better.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that to my guy.
He's so young. He looks like someone I would come across on Bumble and be like, "Oh, he looks nice." Oh my God, he's 10 years younger than me. Swipe left.
That's like when you're scrolling on
Don't lie, you
TikTok.
swiped right.
That's like when you're scrolling on TikTok and you see somebody, you're like, okay, like, oh, click the profile and it's like 16. You're like, hey, get away.
The government is now watching my phone.
Yeah, literally. The Lord is testing me.
Did the Titans make a pick yet?
They did. They just made a pick, and you were right. They went wide receiver. It is Treylon Burks from Arkansas. He is now a Tennessee Titan.
I'm on fire tonight.
Launch it.
Sorry, I screamed. Anybody that's wearing headphones, I apologize. So,
so really
my
quick,
bad.
Annie, because I do have a separate question for you. I want to give one more nod to Tate. He has been pretty close to on fire with a lot of his picks all night. And I'm telling him he needs to go out and buy a lottery ticket tonight because he's gotten a lot. It's like low key.
Go do it.
It's
Why
dumb
not?
luck. It's dumb luck. I already dropped I think like $35 this week on like Powerball tickets. I like one number. Like it just I donated to the college fund. It's fine.
It's fine. I have to ask Annie, what are you drinking? Because it looks delicious.
This is Screwball whiskey, Screwball peanut butter whiskey, casual plug, and pineapple juice. It is delicious. It is a head scratching combination, but trust me, delicious, refreshing, hits the spot.
Okay, so
not a Baltimore drink. Baltimore Ravens fan?
No, but okay, so I have questions because there are drinks that I've had that once they throw pineapple juice in it, I'm like, this is another world. I don't know what this flavor is, but I love it. Have you ever had a surfer on acid?
No.
So that's a shot that you get at divey bars that have a lot of surfers, but it's something that has pineapple juice in it. It has Malibu rum and it has Jaeger. So you would think it would taste like the worst night of your life, but it tastes delicious. And I hate Jaeger. But
I imagine you don't taste the Jaeger. That's probably why.
You don't.
That sounds like ass. I'm sorry. I mean, but apologies. Don't mean to jump in there and
no, but that's why I'm curious. So like peanut butter and pineapple, like what does that end up tasting like? Like, is it still peanut buttery? Like
you don't really taste the peanut butter, to be honest. It's just like a sweet, good, fruity combination. Like I work for Screwball, so it's a little bit of a bias plug when I say here. But yesterday I was mixing a bunch of drinks and making content, and it was a peanut butter and jelly mint julep for the Kentucky Derby coming up. And you would think that would taste disgusting. It's delicious, super refreshing, not too sweet. And then we did a spiked shamrock shake for St. Patrick's Day, and people were in the comments like, mint and peanut butter, what? I was like, once you mix it, like if you taste it by itself, like it tastes, you kind of smell the peanut butter, and depending on what you mix it with, but if you mix it with the right things, it's just this great sweet flavor. It's not peanut buttery, so it's very versatile. And people think that's why people kind of shy away from it, because they're like, what am I going to mix a peanut butter whiskey with? But
I'm going to go get my bottle of Screwball. I'll be right back.
Excellent.
We'll see you in a sec, Sam.
You're not a believer, are you? I can tell.
No. Look, hey, I am not one. When it comes to trying alcoholic drinks, I am a very much won't knock it until I try it type of guy. So definitely no judgment there. No judgment there, and I'm willing to roll the dice on anything you put in front of me. So that being said, we talked a little bit about your Ravens. Like their season was nuts when it came to injuries and stuff like that.
Yes.
This division though is stacked. Like moving forward, like you got Joey B. They're in Cincinnati, right? And they're up and coming. You got the Baltimore Ravens, who have Lamar Jackson, former league MVP, wants a new contract. I think he's going to get it. I don't know when he's going to get it, but he's going to get paid. Hopefully he stays in Baltimore because he just seems like a Baltimore guy. Pittsburgh, they got Mitchie T. They got issues for this season. I'm sorry, Sam.
The draft isn't over yet.
You're all about to pick. You're about to get Malik Willis at 20.
Oh, just breathing it into the air. Well, I know I just wanted to cheers to Annie because I do have my Screwball. So I haven't done a shot yet tonight. Every year I end up doing one. So cheers to you. Thank you so much for coming on. You are our last guest for the night. So
What?
you feel free to stick around as long as you'd like. This is totally up to you. But
You want to go to the finish line?
it's totally up to you. But yeah, cheers. I'll do this one for you.
Oh, y'all are
Cheers.
That is
way
so
cooler than
good.
me with what you're drinking right
Ain't
now.
it
I'm drinking it
So
fine.
good. It's funny because I mean, I love whiskey. I'm a bourbon girl. So if I had to
Right.
pick my scale of whiskey, I love bourbons, and people tend to laugh because at the end of the day, when you look at the whiskey scale, which one's closer to just being sugar? It's bourbon. So
Yeah.
this one, oh man, does this hit all the notes for me? Like this is peanut butter.
I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
You don't need to mix that with anything.
Chug
You could pour
it.
that, you could pour that on ice cream.
Oh, you should. On
Just a
ice cream,
vanilla ice cream.
hot chocolate, apple cider. Listen, you can mix it with so many things. The list goes on.
Can you just dump it in a carton of ice cream and then go from there? Because I ate half a carton of ice cream last night, and that's the first time I've done that in a while. It was great. It was strawberry shortcake, or no, cheesecake. It was great.
I feel like I'm having a very elf kind of moment where it's like, is there sugar in syrup? Then yes, because I'm drinking this like it's the syrup in the mailroom right now because it's so good. I love syrup.
You gonna start dancing on the table next?
Yeah, with that whoop, there it is in the background.
There it is. Hey.
We're just best friends. You just get me, man. Like the way that they had that bonding moment in the mailroom was so good.
They're laying on. I tell you, you're my best friend, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You're
No,
so
definitely.
young. You're so young.
How old does that guy say that he is? He's like, I'm 26, and he looks like 48, or like no, not even. He looks like in his mid 50s. Like he looks far gone. He's like, I'm 26. I'm so young. Well, Trevor Penning just went to the Saints, so one more person.
So Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa, he's kind of like the host of like a restaurant version of offensive tackle. And by that, he just basically gets walked back into his quarterback, which is the table. He lets people get into his chest too much, Sam. It's not good. Like, I don't understand how this man who is like 6'7", 310 pounds gets walked backwards by other men that are way smaller than him, but his leverage is terrible. I hate this pick by the New Orleans Saints. I'm sorry. Go Bucks. We're winning the South again, baby.
You would
Good
think
luck
that
with
you were
you.
the one that just drank a bunch of whiskey with this take. I mean, this is the first negativity we've really had about a player pick so far this draft, which I think must mean that most of this draft has actually gone pretty well, besides the Jaguars not taking Aiden Hutchinson first overall with their direction of their draft. I think everything else has kind of met a lot of needs across the boards for each team. So it's interesting that you think that this is such a poor pick at 19.
I just don't think he's a very good player. And by the way, he's on the Saints. So guess what? I'm a Bucks fan. Yeah, shit happens. I'm not going to support that pick. So anyway, I think it's a reach. I think if there were the biggest reach of the draft, I personally think this is a big reach. That's all.
Okay, well, no big deal, but my Steelers are on the clock, so we're gonna do a little one.
Let's go, Sam. Let's go.
Say, I'm staying on for this pick. I'm not missing this.
Yeah, this is gonna be emotional. Well, okay, because
this is Malik Willis. I think it's Malik Willis.
Okay, so last year, and I was watching the draft, and I'm watching players go. I mean, the Steelers had been in need for a top running back for a hot minute. So it's oh my god.
Since Lev Bell decided to go ahead and jump on jet skis.
Since Lev Bell was Lev Bell, and things just weren't clicking. So when I saw Najee Harris, I was watching the tape. Every single play I was watching this guy go, I'm just like, he needs to be a Steeler. He needs to be a Steeler. And so as I was watching the draft go and I'm watching him drop and I'm seeing him not go, I'm just sitting there crossing everything. And I was doing the live last year. And when I was on with everyone, I was like, guys, I need y'all to vamp because I'm going to go on mute, because if we don't take him, I don't know what's about to come out of my mouth. So this isn't, I feel like, that emotional because we do have so many needs. I would be okay with us taking an offensive tackle, us taking other positions, because we do still have so many needs that need to be addressed, that I feel like we could wait on quarterback here. We do have an early second rounder. We could get another quarterback later if Willis does go elsewhere. I'm just prefacing that by saying that I think that Trubisky's okay for 2 years. If we waited and got someone, I'm really high on Carson Strong. Personally, as a later quarterback in this draft, I feel like he pairs up nicely with a big cannon of an arm and would fit in our offense. So if we waited and didn't take Malik Willis here, I would be okay with someone with that arm talent to pair up with Deontay Johnson. Just trying to think outside the box, set myself up so I'm not disappointed if we don't take Malik Willis here.
Okay.
That's my story.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're on board with Carson Strong. It's just that he can barely move. And
He
your
has better
offensive
move.
line isn't that good.
Okay.
He's a sitting duck.
I
I'm
will
just
say
saying.
our offensive line is not good. I'm hoping we address that in this draft. But if you've been watching him this off season, he's been actually working out in Orange County, and everything that his coach is posting, his mobility is better than he was before the injury. So I think that people are kind of sleeping on how he's come back from that knee issue.
I honestly, as much as I would like to see the Pittsburgh Steelers take Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett played in their backyard. I mean, at Pitt, and he had a really damn good season. I wouldn't be surprised if they take Kenny Pickett here either. But Sam, I think they're going quarterback. I mean, I know that they have a really nice Super Bowl caliber defense, but I just feel like they're not going to go anywhere with Mitchell Trubisky.
If you see it before me, don't say anything. Okay, but I will say, Andy, don't you feel like the Steelers need a mobile quarterback to be competitive in our division?
Absolutely. It's not up for debate. Absolutely.
I mean, the way that our division plays and how these quarterbacks across the board have multiple skill sets that can be tapped into throughout a game, throughout a progression of a down. I mean, to stay competitive, we need that mobility. I do feel like Trubisky's going to be fine for a year, even no matter who we take, who sits behind him for a little bit. But just to stay competitive, we need youth in this division. We're just not going to have a chance at another championship if we don't.
Absolutely. Poor Mason. What's Mason Rudolph going to do when he gets to camp is my question. If you guys pick a quarterback.
Is he still a Steeler? I was kind of hoping he was not a Steeler anymore.
My favorite is the interview after Ben retired? He's like, I'm just glad I don't have to go into camp and worry about stepping on anybody's toes. I was like, oh, Mason. Oh, buddy.
Oh, bud.
Oh, how do we break this to you?
Maybe he doesn't have social media or notifications on his phone. He's just not aware of the situation.
I mean, honestly, if I was an NFL quarterback, I wouldn't either, to be honest.
That's a good point.
The insanity that we see from fans, from the media. If I was in the NFL, I would stay off social media.
Yeah, it would not be my thing unless I do it. I love how Austin Eckler has a podcast where even in season, he's doing some fantasy football takes. I appreciate that little nod to the fandom, because that shows appreciation for the position that you're in and the fans. And I feel like that's nice. Either just don't touch it or join in on the fun, because we're all just here to have fun for it.
Or use it for good. Or you got Russell Wilson. He's got his podcast. He's got his all sorts of business ventures and his perfect family, of course. That's a good
but Sierra must help him a lot with his social and his platform.
No doubt. He's cool.
Sam, what happened?
We took Kenny Pickett.
Life could be worse.
Yeah, no, it could be worse.
It could be worse, but
they were not going to pass up a backyard boy. I've lived in Pittsburgh for 4 years. They were not going to pass him up. They love their Yinzers. They're hardworking Pitt Panther. They love that.
Blue collar, bring lunch pail to the office, punch your clock. Oh
yeah. Yin's Pittsburgh pride.
But now this just means that I have to watch Malik Willis be successful elsewhere, and that's just sad for me. Like, it's going to be like, I knew that the Steelers, when Lamar Jackson was in the draft, I knew we weren't going to take him, but I knew I was going to be excited no matter where he went because it was going to be fun to watch him. And then I was bummed. I'm like, oh no, now he's in my division and now he's a rival. That sucks. So now I feel like similar is going to happen with Malik Willis. He's going to end up on a team that I'm just going to be like, but why not my team?
Why not us?
But why not me? Oh.
If you're Mitchell Trubisky, how are you feeling right now?
Like I shouldn't unpack too much in my locker.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think his wife is due any day with their first child too. You sign a 2-year deal with that's the one thing with like these NFL contracts is nothing's guaranteed. Like can you sit comfortable anywhere as an NFL player?
I mean, I don't think so, especially just given the way this offseason shook out and we saw so many pivotal players just run across the country to different teams. I mean, I would have, if you'd told me this time last year that Tyreek Hill was not going to be a forever Chief, I would be like, well, then what's going to happen to make him ever leave? He's with Patrick Mahomes. This is a perfect fit. Why would he ever go? Things happen, and obviously now he is a Miami Dolphin. So I think that there is no position. And I mean, Tom Brady, Tate, if someone told you 5 years ago, Tom Brady is going to be a Tampa Bay Buck, and the first season that he's with you, he's going to win you a Super Bowl.
Bullshit.
Would you have just been like, but why are you saying
no, I'm saying I wouldn't have believed you. Of course I wouldn't have believed you. I didn't believe any of the rumors until like I had to, get Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport to confirm that, Tom Brady's coming to Tampa. I didn't believe that shit. I mean, like, why would he come to Tampa? Like, I mean, that's what my initial thought was. And I mean, like, he went to England to meet with the Glazers, and he got Bruce Arians whacked. Like, he's no longer the head coach. The dude won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, and it took us to the playoffs last year, and he's now out of a head coaching gig. Like, I mean, Tom Brady's like the godfather of the NFL. Like, he can pull the strings behind the scenes and whatever. I mean, people dance. Now the Patriots have traded this pick to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Bill Belichick doing Sith Lordy things, just sitting back deeper into his hood, just maniacal doing things.
You want my prediction?
Yeah.
George Pickens, Georgia. Wide receiver.
I mean, they need one. It's a gaping hole that's left without Tyreek Hill there.
Don't you disparage Juju Smith-Schuster. I know he's a former Pittsburgh Steeler, but I mean,
I'm sorry. He's still the background on my phone. Like, he's still there. Besides all my notifications that just won't go away. But like, yeah, he's still there. Juju. Actually, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I don't want to change it, but I'm gonna have to.
Eventually.
What's an easier switch for this is gonna be TJ Watt. I'm not switching my phone to Kenny Pickett yet.
Can I ask, who's the team to beat in the AFC? Is it Kansas City anymore without Tyreek Hill? Are we 100% certain? I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes is a bad dude, and I think he's a great quarterback, and he's going to be a great quarterback all-timer. But, I mean, I do think that it affects him a little bit that Tyreek Hill's not there anymore, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
100%.
It was a match. I mean, that was match made in heaven. That was peanut butter and jelly, spaghetti and meatball. I mean, like, that was
French fries and Oreos. Yeah, it just goes together.
Lamb and tuna fish.
Go together like lamb and tuna fish.
I got that.
You order 3 pieces cheesecake. I mean,
Steve Rogers. I understood that reference.
I understood that reference.
As soon as you said spaghetti and meatball the way that you did, I was like, I got you.
Rob Schneider. For a little Rob Schneider. Just sprinkle them in. Sprinkle them in.
Always have to sprinkle in any movie that's got a bit of Adam Sandler in it on one of our shows.
I was funny because recently I think it was Chick-fil-A breakfast I was trying to go to. But no, it was last year. I was in North Carolina. It was a wedding, and all I wanted was McDonald's breakfast. That's the only thing. I was craving a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit and a Fountain Diet Coke and one of those hash browns. I walk to this McDonald's. I find that I missed breakfast by a half hour. And I have never related more to Sonny Koufax in that moment where he just loses it at the McDonald's counter than I did in that moment. I was like, I understand the frustration.
jeez.
Let me get the kid a Happy Meal. Like, yeah, I mean,
But nice
It's fine to
parenting.
still be
Okay, buddy,
steady.
who are you? My therapist? Take a walk. I've always wanted to throw
Oh,
somebody's fries, just like
the
yeet them
Chiefs
over.
did not take a wide receiver right there. They took cornerback Trent McDuffie instead.
Oh,
are you almost like seem happy that I missed a pick? I apologize.
Well, it's for once you got one wrong. I'm not okay with you. I wanted you to get the clean sweep,
I
but
know.
also I just am like, oh, that's interesting. That's not what we expected.
No, Trent
Um,
McDuffie. It's you, McMuffin. Anyway, I like the pick for Kansas City. They needed help on the back end. Defensively, they have been kind of just makeshift working things. And thank God. I mean, hopefully McDuffie gets on the field and Daniel Sorensen doesn't see another snap because that guy's not very good. And they lost the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. So they need some help on the back end. Makes sense. Good pick.
They do. And I mean, I feel like that's something that, I mean, you were just speaking about, are the Chiefs a team that are, easy team to call, like, oh, they're making it this far in the playoffs every year without Tyreek Hill? I mean, if you had to remove that and you think about other major weaknesses, it was on the back end where they were getting beat time and time again. So at least despite the fact that them still needing a wide receiver, they're addressing a major hole in their defense, which hopefully McDuffie can do that. I mean, he is one man, but I feel like this is a big need for them.
Who's on the clock? Is it Green Bay? They got to, you would think they have to take a receiver, right? Because right now their number one's Allen Lazard.
Yes, and I believe they still have 2 picks in this draft. They were late picks, but they are sitting there at 22 and 28. So they do still have opportunity here. It looks like the pick is already in. I don't know if there's going to be a trade because it feels like since pick 12, these picks have been coming in much faster than to begin this draft. It was like slow roll. Okay, things are moving. And then as soon as a trade happened, it was everyone got out of their chairs and were like, turn their hats backwards. Let's get this done. Kind of an attitude.
I would.
Like that. Exactly like that, Annie. Yes.
It was like, let's roll up the sleeves. Let's get this done. This is a game time move. Yeah.
Yo, once upon a time, I bought a hat way too big for my head.
Looks great.
Way too big. Way too big. I can fit my ears underneath it, and my ears are huge.
Oh, that is big. If you can fit
practically
fingers under your hat, it's big. It's big.
That's not good.
That's not good. Wait, yeah, I messed up. That was a $30 purchase that right down the toilet. So
okay.
No problem.
So with this pick, whoever, I mean, we're assuming they're taking a wide receiver with this pick, which obviously Aaron Rodgers desperately needs. Who is left on the board that you're okay with them taking?
I think with Aaron Rodgers and a lot of their play action there in Green Bay, I think it makes sense to have a vertical threat. And I think this kid out of North Dakota State, Christian Watson, he's like 6'4", runs a 4.3, like legit 4.3 speed. He makes a lot of sense. I think he fits a need, and he gives you that vertical threat to kind of replace Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I'm not saying he's going to replace Devontae Adams. No one can. But
yeah,
MVS, I think he can fit that role.
Guys, I actually got to bounce. I got something to do at 7:30, but thanks for having me. I so appreciate it.
Yes, we so appreciate you tuning in. Where can everyone follow you? Do you have anything new coming out people should look for?
It's a busy time because it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's baseball season's underway, so I am booked and busy, especially this summer. But follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok's kind of where I'm the most active at Sweet Annie OD. And my podcast is getting revived sometime in the near future. Just like I said, amongst all the craziness that's happening, it will happen. But yeah, just follow me on social media. I post pretty much every day. So
well, thank you again so much for coming on and sticking it out with us. Guys, if you don't follow Sweet Annie Odd on all forms of social, again, make sure you follow her on TikTok too. She's hilarious and always putting amazing content out there. So please be sure to follow her. It's amazing. It's amazing. I watch your TikToks and I'm like, God, so good.
Thanks, Tate. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yes.
Cheers.
Bye.
Slanch.
So we may have a surprise guest or two. You never know. We may have one left.
What did you do?
I look. You have contacts. You have a lot more contacts than me. Let's be real. You're cooler than I am. But just you're
I had a
mild-mannered
spreadsheet of our
co-host.
guests. Did you add this to the spreadsheet?
No, I did not. No, I don't have time for that. Apparently, again, I'm not even as professional as you. You're the professional. I'm just the mild-mannered co-host that you bring on just to, for entertainment purposes. So,
And quotes from different shows.
Anyway, did we get a pick from the Green Bay Packers?
They took a linebacker, and it just moved.
The first linebacker off the board. Was it one of the Georgia guys?
Yes, the screen went by really quick, but I just saw our guest, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
My friends.
Go. I just saw our guest, and I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm getting feedback. I can hear myself. You can tell that I had a shot because my voice is getting high pitched.
It's okay. We got Matt Bucks on. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Hello, my good friends. It's very good to be on with both of you. There's some sort of craziness going on here. My Spectrum receiver is about to give out. Give me 1 second. It wouldn't be me if I didn't have some sort of catastrophe to deal with real quick. Bills just traded for 23. I have no idea what's going on.
Oh my God.
Do we have the 25th? Did we trade the 25th? Y'all break this down for me while I adjust the Spectrum receiver. I am so sorry.
You're fine. Oh my God. I love this fun surprise. For those that don't know, Matt Bucks is from Fantasy Focused. Tate and I met on there as well, and now we are on Dr. Roto. But Matt Bucks is a legend. So
Bucky.
If you are not already drinking a bevy, I suggest you grab one, because if the Bills just made a trade, Matt Bucks is about to break down some amazing Bills knowledge for all of you.
I'm just not sure here. So we gave up the 25th. I don't know what else we gave up. Dallas behind us. I don't know what we're going for here. I think it's cornerback, because I do think the cornerbacks have kind of faded a little bit more than I expected them to. I know McGuffey just went.
Yep.
I'm thinking Kyer Elam, University of Florida. That has nothing to do with my alumnus status.
Okay. I'm actually going Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa. Interior
That wouldn't
offensive
shock me at
line.
all.
Okay. I
It'd
love
be a
Tyler.
left
I
field
can't wait to see
thing,
where he
but
goes.
maybe they thought Dallas was on that route. I don't think they would have been, though.
I mean, so what I think the Dallas Cowboys, they need to invest in the offensive line again, because they lost La'el Collins. That offensive line unit, which was great a couple of years ago when Dak took over, but that feels like an eternity ago. So I'm thinking the Bills. I also think it could. I mean, I don't think they're going to trade up for Breece Hall. I would love to see them get a running back, like a true three down bell cow, but they're not going to do that, because why would you trade up for a running back? So I personally think that they may be going center, even though it's not a high need as far as high draft capital in the NFL. But I love Tyler Linderbaum. I think he'd be great for your offensive line.
Well, I have no problems ever. Sam, what's your opinion here? What do you think? What do you think the Bills are thinking with 2 picks ahead here?
I mean, with 2 picks ahead, they're not a team that I think needs to have this many first-round picks, to be honest. I don't feel like they have that many holes that need to be addressed necessarily. I mean, definitely depth padding. That's what you do for this draft. It definitely makes sense. I think, to Tate's point, Tyler Linderbaum is someone that I'm surprised is still on the board right now, because I think he could actually help multiple offensive lines. I think that would also bolster up and help the running game for you guys as well, just to have him at center. He's someone that you get on the front line, and you don't have to worry about that position for many years. He is solid. He is a wall. He is going to help a lot with that line. Not that you guys already need help. You're doing just fine. I feel like you were seconds away from moving further in the playoffs. But we don't have to bring up bad times. We don't have to.
No, it's okay, Sam. I've learned to cope since we last podcasted together, so I'm very excited to be here. As a
to-
So, I
calm,
will say
rational
this.
individual until 30 seconds from now. That's
I
when it
want
all
to say,
crumbles.
I want to say though, like Levi Wallace was one of the reasons why they ended up giving up those 2 big plays for them to get into field goal range, tie the game, and send it to overtime. It makes sense that they would go with corner, given that they lost Trey White, heading into the season, and that was kind of their one Achilles heel against the Kansas City Chiefs. So adding a little bit of depth at corner makes sense. And I like your boy from Florida, Kyer Elam.
He's
like-
long. He's long. He's shut down, but he's aggressive and he's physical. So he picks up quite a few penalties, and that's shown throughout his career. But I really enjoy watching Kyer Elam play. He is shut down. He plays bigger than he is, and he is big for a cornerback. So I'm hoping it's Kyer Elam because I want cornerback. That's my preferred position. Wouldn't be upset with Linderbaum at all.
How tall is he?
6'1", 3/4.
But he probably has a great reach then.
He's got reach.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
gotta have
stretch
that
out.
vertical ability.
Yeah,
Elam's
Kyer
6'2".
Elam.
Did he go?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's Elam. And I'm really happy with that. Not just because I went to University of Florida. This is not bias. He will get penalties called against him all day. I mean, it's going to happen. He's a physical cornerback. You'll watch it here in the highlight film. He at no point, he's not a high point guy. He's a physical corner. He will get penalties, but man, he will lock you down around the line of scrimmage. Here's a good highlight of that. I'm watching
it.
NFL Network, by the way, so I don't know if y'all are affiliated with
that's where I'm
ESPN,
at
I
too. That's where I'm
apologize.
at too.
Okay. He's
Oh, yeah,
physical, and that's what the Bills need here. You got Trey on the 1, Kyer with a bigger, more physical number 2. I think it's the right pick. I'm happy that they got the Spidey tingles that Dallas was going to come in here and get Elam. They must have. It's 2 picks, right? I mean, it's
That's
two
the only
picks.
reason why. The only reason they would do that.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is in a coma on live TV right now. Can't believe it. He was bamboozled.
Oh God, okay. Also, because I know that this is a different live draft view than we saw last year of Jerry Jones in his Dr. Evil lair, but this is just another version of a Dr. Evil lair, is it not? Like, this room just looks like it's on the set of something where he plays the villain.
Wouldn't you want a room with windows? Like, you want to
No,
feel
it
some
must be
air.
Doc.
You want a
There's
little bit of
nothing but
breathing
doom.
room, a little bit you
No.
could gaze upon a sunset.
You can
No, you
only
want a
breathe
claustrophobic
when Jerry
room.
Jones lets you breathe. No.
That
This
was
You want
pretty
a sardine
Dr.
can.
Evilish, Sam. You nailed it.
Very Dr.
Dr.
Evil.
Evil.
Oh my God.
You just got
Very
dunked on by Brandon Bean. How does it feel?
Oh my God. Ridiculous.
No, you want the feeling of throwing him in the bathroom from Bronx Tale. You want JoJo the Whale in there. You want Frankie Coffee Cake. Like, you want everybody in there. If you're Jerry Jones, you want no way for anybody to escape, even via their mind through the window. Like, no,
there
we're
is
down
no
here for
escape.
business. You're in the basement. You're in the basement.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
I feel
What's funny
really
too
good
is I
about
bet that room is like on a floor that's like somewhere between like 10 and 20, but there's somehow still no light.
I feel so good about that. That's crazy maneuvering. I'm
Okay,
But
I'm not joking. I've like small little droplets of tears because it makes me happy they did what they needed to do to get their guy.
yeah.
And they're sending Jerry to the geriatric facility. He's just going to
Yeah.
sit back, relax, play spades, have a good old time sipping on some grape juice.
Love it. Gotta ask you, Bucks, any other moves this trade so far that have surprised you or moves that you particularly like?
Yeah, the AJ Brown move was something.
That was
Considering
crazy.
they drafted just a taller AJ Brown. But they also picked up a first and a third round pick for it. So I think they kind of won out there.
Yeah. It's just kind of
you really
surprising
like
because I
Braylon
feel
Burks that
like
much?
It's not that I love him that much. I just think he offers some similar skill set to AJ Brown. I mean, it's hilarious on NFL Network. They went straight to comp AJ Brown. And you just traded AJ Brown, but you picked up an asset in the 3rd round. And I mean, that could really change things. The way this draft is, I think these teams, it's moving swiftly, which I've been impressed with. I think teams have their boards and they're just knocking them off it, and they're seeing guys slip. But I think everyone is everywhere with these different players. So I think things are just going to keep sliding into that 3rd round. I think we have an action-packed day 2 tomorrow.
Actually, I definitely agree with that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sam. I apologize.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like that's kind of one of my takeaways as well, is there's still a lot of people left on the board that I think normally day 2, you can kind of take a little bit of a breather and just kind of enjoy watching later what rolls in. But tomorrow should be just as action-packed as what today was, because of these picks moving around and because so many people are still on the board of great talent at their positions.
Jermaine Johnson, I'm surprised. Yeah. Jermaine Johnson's still on the board from Florida State. He's certainly one that jumps out to me. I mean, I thought Devin Lloyd was the number 1 linebacker on the board, right there with Nakobe Dean, and to see Quay Walker go from Georgia, a little bit of a surprise. So I mean, there's definitely some names that are quite surprising that are still available. I'm excited to see what round 2 has in store. In particular, running backs. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker III. Yeah.
Love that name. Kenneth Walker III is so good for a running back.
It's strong. Strong name.
I mean, I'm still
Sam,
sorry.
You don't like the name? You don't like the name, Sam? Or are you still upset about Kenny Pickett?
Wait, you're upset, Sam? Let's talk about the Steelers. Sorry, I was so selfish there as I was crying tears of joy. Sam, how do you feel about the Kenny Pickett, the hometown kid?
The thing is, it's just all signs were pointing to Malik Willis. He was the very top of even every beat reporter was across the board that Willis was the top of our board for quarterback at the position, because in our division, we need to be more mobile. That's something that we have been desperately lacking. And Willis gives you that. And he has so much upside. And yes, is he still young? Does he still have a lot of things to work out, a lot of kinks? Sure. But to go with his mobility, he has a cannon. So I just loved that we were going to become just a little bit more, just have more weapons in our arsenal to have a quarterback be able to do that. And with Pickett, it's fine, but it's not what I think it could be. I feel like we're going to run into his ceiling sooner than we would run into Malik Willis's. And that's just frustrating.
No, that's completely fair.
It is
fair. Because I'm with you on Willis. Look, the upside, it'll take time. I mean, we all saw Josh Allen's first year, right? That wasn't pretty, but we threw him out there. We made him get the reps. And then by the time he synced up with Ken Dorsey, Brian Daboll, it was over, you know? Yeah. And I think with a kid like that, with the raw skills for the quarterback position are becoming more important than ever, because I think offensive coordinators are just allowing these quarterbacks to thrive in what they do best and scheme around it. Like, the analytics in today's game, they're not what they were 20 years ago. They're twice what they were 10 years ago. So these offensive minds are just crafting it around the guys they have. You have that tool, that arm, the mobility. It's a big thing. However, Mike Tomlin, does he scream, I want a very electric, mobile, dual threat quarterback to you? He doesn't, not to me, based on the selections in the past. So I think, I don't know. I think were you hoping for like a change of philosophy there, Sam?
I mean, not necessarily, but I feel like Tomlin's also not a coach that's just going to continue with his old ways and do that, because I've seen him develop and change every year as well. He is such a brilliant head coaching mind and understanding, seeing where the league is going as well. We wouldn't have made the Najee Harris pickup last year if we didn't see the way the league was going and know we needed to address this issue. We couldn't get away with just always peppering the field the way we have forever. So that's the other reason why I was hopeful that we would make that move. Does that mean that Pickett is just going to drop back and never move? No, I'm sure that he can get up and move around as well, but is it going to be, am I excited by that upside? No. I feel like I would have been far more excited to see Willis come off the board and at least we're taking a bit of a risk. At least we're trying something to stay competitive in the division, but also competitive in the entire league, because that is the way the quarterback position is changing. And the future is mobile quarterbacks that can throw deep. It is having both, because you cannot be successful without having both in this league.
So Kenny Pickett's athleticism reminds me more of Joe Burrow, right? It's functional. It's more functional athleticism and ability to be able to extend plays. I actually think that Kenny Pickett does a really good job actually extending plays at outside of the pocket, throwing the run. He doesn't have the arm talent that Malik Willis does. Like, he just doesn't. Malik Willis has a howitzer. And Malik Willis is basically a faster version of Jalen Hurts as far as his size and athletic profile goes. He doesn't have the ceiling, but what Kenny Pickett does have, Sam, is a ability to be able to identify pre-snap where to go with the football when there's an all-out blitz. When there's a 3-step drop concept, he has the ability to be able to go through 1 to 2 real quick. Boom, ball's out of his hands. Like, he has those mental things that Malik Willis would need to develop. So that's where the floor ceiling argument happens. The floor is much lower on Malik Willis than it is with Kenny Pickett. And Pickett, with a Super Bowl caliber defense, if he touches his surface there in Pittsburgh with some good weapons, with Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson, I think that you have plenty to work with, including Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth, to be able to be competitive in the AFC.
It's not that I should amend what I mean. It's not that I'm disappointed. We needed to address the quarterback position in this draft. We couldn't avoid it in this draft. And it was going to be Pickett or Willis. I think I was just more excited by the tape that I've seen on Willis than I was on Pickett. Does that mean that he's a terrible pick? No, that's not what that means. It's really sweet because I'm getting, of course, because I have every notification, I'm getting notifications that Pickett has broken down in tears because he's overjoyed at being the Steelers quarterback. And that's obviously super sweet. Like you said, Pittsburgh boy staying in Pittsburgh. You love it for the same reason that you love Aiden Hutchinson staying in Michigan, going to Michigan, now being a Lion. You love that. I see this comment. Sam, I love Pitt's quarterback pick. Trust me, he's Derek Carr. Willis is Trey Lance, future bust. But I don't like that comparison because I don't love Derek Carr. No offense to Derek Carr. I think he's fine, but I don't want to think my quarterback is fine on my team. I want to be like riding high, singing. I want to be that crazy neighbor that's like, okay, clearly the Steelers did something because Sam's going crazy as our neighbor. Like, I want to be that person. And I'm just not over the moon. Can I get there? Sure. I'll have to watch more tape and let it sink in a bit more. But, it's just not the same emotion I had last year when we had Najee Harris, and it was just tears of joy.
Malik Willis was... You turn on his tape, you're going to fall in love with him because you're going to see the highlights. What you don't see is when he holds the ball. He got sacked 51 times last year, Sam. He holds the ball.
Keep telling me these things so I can get excited. Yes, sure.
He trusts his athleticism so much that he does not give up on a play. He doesn't. He will not. He refuses to. And I love that about his competitiveness and his demeanor as a human being. I think he will have success in the right situation. Pickett's more pro ready. Period. Okay. I don't like saying that because I love Malik Willis. I love his ceiling. But if I'm being honest, do I trust Malik Willis or do I trust Kenny Pickett to make the right decision, the right read right now? It's Kenny Pickett. It's not really.
No, and I'm not going to have to watch tape. I'm going to have to go back and watch just some games just so I can get the full feel and get more excited. I was just doing all of my homework on the wrong player. So it feels like I misunderstood my assignment.
You did not.
You've been successful. You've been successful with my guy, Ben Roethlisberger, throwing it 35 yards max. You'll be okay with Kenny Pickett.
Sorry.
Thank you for that.
But the thing is, you mentioned the mobility of Willis. Yeah, Pickett is not Willis, but he's a mobile guy. Josh Allen wasn't a mobile quarterback coming out for the draft, but guess what? He might be the best running quarterback in the league. I don't know. Some are saying rumors out there. Check the internet.
Rumors? Should I check
Slight
your
rumors.
Twitter
I thought
handle?
Josh Allen was pretty damn athletic coming out.
No, you won't get any rumors on that, Sam.
No,
Only
you never go
truths
on
from
Twitter.
4 years ago.
Goodness. Okay, I gotta ask Buck, what are you drinking?
Miller Lite, of course.
That's what I thought. That's what
One
I
beer
thought.
of choice.
I just had to check in.
Yeah.
You missed
Some
it. I
things
was
change
doing
and
I was
some things
doing
don't.
polls of Screwball whiskey earlier because our previous guest, Sweet Annie Odd, she is a sponsor of Screwball whiskey, and it is delicious. Have you tried it?
Is that the peanut butter one?
It is.
Yes, I've had
Tastes
it. It's
so
good. I'm just not. I drink Miller Lite, Sam. I'm a simple man.
Miss your face, Bucks. I need to see it more.
I really don't mix dessert and booze often. So my dessert usually comprises of 2 scoops of peanut butter, and when I say scoop, I mean one of the nice stove spoons that you use to stir things up with, like a nice bolognese
ladle?
sauce. It's a ladle.
It's a
2
ladle
ladles of peanut butter. That's a dessert for me. Times are tough out here.
Oh my God! It happened. Tyler Linderbaum went to the Ravens. There was a
Ravens are
move
beefing
made.
up.
Damn
Ravens
it.
are beefing
I was
up.
one pick
This
off.
is frustrating.
Or 2
This is
picks off,
frustrating
whatever.
because now I was so excited about Tyler Linderbaum, and just like what happened with Lamar Jackson, I was excited to watch him come into the league. Now I have to watch him go against me every single year. This is gonna
Well,
hurt.
Linderbaum,
He's gonna put
he's
a
a-
lot of hurt on our division.
That's okay.
At least he didn't go to
You'll be
Cincy.
okay. He's a
He's a big
wrestler.
boy.
That gives him an advantage. I like wrestlers.
Quick hands, quick feet.
He gets
He's
his
a-
hands
The
on
feet,
you.
Sam. Wrestling is the feet. Wrestling is the feet, and then the shoot. It's both things.
Yep. Oh, he's
I thought
a
it was
big
always
boy.
in the hips. I always thought that wrestling was in the hips.
Well, wrestling stinks, dude. I wrestled from the time I was like 5 until I was 10. Hated every minute of it. I'm a team sport guy.
That explains why you were able to sack me 5 times in one game.
It was 7.
It's unfortunate.
It was a Super Bowl.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it
'Cause I didn't
was.
drop back past that many times. My dad didn't trust me.
My
I was
goodness.
too
It's-
quick for you to get the handoff out.
We've got trades all over the place. We have another trade. Jets trade with the Titans. Trade crazy.
What the hell is New York up to?
I don't
Jermaine
know.
Johnson?
I feel like every time you say his name, now he's going to fall further down the draft because you've said it so many times and he's still up there. Stop jinxing the poor man.
Look, I'm not. All right, that's rude. Maybe N'Kobe Dean. N'Kobe Dean makes a little bit of sense. They need a kind of a nickel package linebacker, dime package linebacker that can cover. CJ Mosley's getting up there. I think he's going to be 30 this season, so makes a little bit of sense.
So jealous of this Linderbaum pickup by the Ravens right now.
You're still pissed about that?
I'm still annoyed.
Would you swap Pickett for Linderbaum?
Yeah. Well, I had when I ran a couple mocks and I figured if both quarterbacks were off the board, if both Willis and Pickett were off the board, we would go Linderbaum there. And I was going to be super stoked with that pick because I just love his quickness. And I think he's perfect in that position, in that role. And we obviously desperately need it. So I was really hoping if we didn't go quarterback with our pick at 20, that we went with Linderbaum. So annoyed.
Tate, real quick to pivot.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Could the Bucks go Malik Willis here?
I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility. The man, if I'm to pick a system that Malik Willis could succeed in, it's a vertical passing system. And I mean, I know that Byron Leftwich is probably going to cater his offense to Tom Brady, but and what Brady does well, which is getting the ball out of his hands, finding matchups, pre-snap, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I would not rule it out. And I would, as a Bucs fan, I would not be upset about it because I think Brady's got one more year in Tampa Bay. I don't know if he's got one more year in the NFL, but I think he's got one more year in Tampa Bay. So I trust him more than Kyle Trask.
I was just going to say, I mean, they took Kyle Trask last year, so I don't necessarily think that addressing a quarterback in this draft is that high on their list. I feel like they might wait next year because 2023 quarterback class is looking a little bit deeper. I don't feel like it's
The
top
Bucks are
need.
going to be picking in the back half of the draft again next year, though. So
Here's my thing. I think it's still best on board available. Is the way this draft looks to me right now. Like, it's not anything out of bounds. Teams are just taking
What they
what's out
need.
there in terms of what they're seeing. And every team is different, but I don't know. There's not too many surprises here in terms of the way the draft has been the last 3 or 4 years. So edge position heavy, very much corner heavy. You have usually more quarterbacks. So I don't know. You're seeing guards, centers. It's been pretty much top of board. And if Malik Willis is sitting right there,
he's right in our laps. He is
kind of
right in our
hard not
laps.
to say, hey, fella, come on down to Raymond James.
Well, I mean, am I looking at this wrong? I see the pick is in for the Jets, and then the Bucks are behind them.
Yeah,
That is correct.
All right.
Correct.
So who do we think the Jets are taking with this one as we wait for Goodell to walk across the stage?
I keep pounding the table saying Jermaine Johnson. So I'm going to
Yeah.
stick to my guns here until he gets picked.
that makes sense.
So
Roger.
Come on, walk faster,
Yep,
Roger.
there it is. Nice one. Tate, we're doing great with these on the spot projections here.
I wasn't too far off with Tyler Linderbaum and Bucky. Unfortunately, if you didn't tune in all night, man, I've been pretty good tonight.
Yeah,
Like
he's
I
actually
said,
gotten a
I
lot.
think it's top of board. I think it's just going top of board. Teams are kind of they're taking their need pretty seriously, but I don't know. I feel like they all think they don't know what to make of these players, so we might as well go with the consensus. It's kind of what it seems like.
Well, I also think the Bucks could go potentially, I could see them going, defensive line. I could see them going corner. I could see them. Andrew Booth Jr., I believe, is still available, if I'm not mistaken, from Clemson. So he's somebody that I certainly could kind of see.
The Bucks traded with the Jaguars.
Son of a bitch. Damn it. I wanted my pick tonight. No.
All right, so Malik Willis.
No, and he's not going here either.
He's not going here.
No.
Green Bay,
Where is he
possibly?
going?
Minnesota?
not. Tampa Bay, first pick of the second round. They got a little bit of an acquisition there, I'm sure.
Is that what they traded for then?
Damn it.
I don't know. I love the draft, guys. It feels so good to be on with both of you.
Are
It's
you
just
doing
all
any
hard
dynasty
numbers.
drafts right now? Because I'm in 3.
No.
What's wrong with you?
IDP. I'm addicted. It's a
You have
problem.
a problem. You have a bigger
I
problem than
definitely
I
have a
do.
I'm basically the fantasy football version of Tyrone from Chappelle Show. It's like,
But drafts.
sorry, baby. Yeah, exactly. And trades.
Okay.
Definitely. trades.
You've always you are a rascal. An absolute rascal.
The problem
comes
is
to
that
trades.
if I were a real NFL GM, I would trade back and I'd have like 30 picks in the 6th and 7th round because I keep getting value by trading back. Which
That
is
is
the
You
problem.
love
twisted.
trading
It's
back.
twisted.
so much.
You have to be able to make picks eventually.
I literally don't
have
think
a
I've ever
problem. I
done a
don't wanna
draft
take
with
a-
you where you've actually had like your first 2 round picks. I feel like every draft I've ever had where you were in it, I'm like, is Tate gonna make a pick? I'm trading back for value. Okay, sure. Like, but do you want to pick in this draft? Like, you trade back so much.
No, I don't like picking. I like trading. It's great.
But eventually you need players.
So who are the
Sam.
Jags going here? Who are the Jags going here?
I mean, name a position.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, this
Who
isn't
are
a
they-
bad move because they can still address so many things.
I mean, they do have a lot of work to do. I agree with that.
I'd
mean-
probably say wide receiver if there's someone they like there, but I don't think they will.
But they just
I think it'll
paid
be
so much
line.
money for Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. Why would they then go and take a rookie receiver?
I mean,
That just
yeah,
feels
so much money. Shad
Maybe
Khan.
Bernard Ryman from CMU, like tackle prospect,
Mm.
to add to that offensive line up front. I also think that you could go wide receiver here. I mean, are you really that Marvin Jones Jr. is like, 32. I mean, Laviska Shenault seems like he was a bust. Christian Kirk overpaid, but there. I mean, I think you could go George Pickens here from Georgia, or you could go Christian Watson from North Dakota State. Help out Trevor Lawrence.
I think they want to get him help, set him up for a little bit more success here in year 2, and we'll see how the cookie crumbles.
I love that. Thank you for going Bruce Almighty on us.
Love it. Well, the pick is in, so it doesn't seem like we're gonna have to wait that long for the Jags to come across the board with who they are taking.
I was hoping so, given that they were like, Devin Lloyd also makes a little bit of sense here. They let go of Miles Jack. I know they signed the Atlanta linebacker, but he's another guy that maybe makes a little bit of sense here.
Yeah, shout out to Cam in the comments here. I think Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, let's go, Cam. I'm riding with you, baby. Let's do it. It's Devin Lloyd, Utah. Let's go.
Doug Peterson, Breece Hall. Give me another running back. Let me muddy the waters more.
No, don't do that to Travis.
No, why would you put that out there?
Because it's Doug Peterson. I did nothing here.
We don't want to.
It is Doug Peterson. No, Buck is right. It is Doug Peterson, which that scares the shit out of me.
It's just going to be worse. Jordan Howard is next to be signed. It's just going to be the same old nightmare repeating itself. It's like Groundhog Day, except it's Ground Jaguar Day.
Ground Jaguar?
Jaguars.
You know what I think of when you say a ground jaguar?
This, Tate.
Wait, Bucks, have you seen those videos of those cats that look like the corgi version of a cat? They have really stubby legs.
I think that would freak me out, Sam.
But when you say ground jaguar, that's what I think of. I think of these, like, they look like...
Because they're low to the ground?
Because they're low to the ground, they get little nubs.
That's good.
Great.
That's solid.
That's good. That's really good.
The ground jaguar.
Ground jaguar. And are they those exotic cats that got the spots all over them, but just instead of long like tiger's legs, they just have
instead of gorgeous
legs?
Long legs. There's no tree climbing. Ground
Sam,
dwellers.
I got a comment though. It sounds like some genetic manipulation I'm not quite a fan of.
So on the bottom of the screen, it says the Packers are on the clock. Have the Jags made their pick?
No, Jags pick is in. Packers on the clock.
Yes, they're on the clock. We're just
still you got too many feeds coming in here, pal.
There's a lot. I mean, our producer's doing a great job, by the way.
Yeah.
Like shout out to the producer who has been
our guy Brian. He's killing it.
Picker.
Yeah, he's just quick hands going on with everything. He's like, he just said in our private chat, sorry guys, I'm a bit ahead. But that's okay.
You did
Brian.
confirm it was Lloyd.
Brian.
Devin Lloyd. I told you.
I want to say thank you to Brian, but also, are you in Europe? Is that why you're ahead of us right now?
Did you pay extra for like a different like TV stream package? So you're just getting all the picks ahead of us.
He must have fiber. Google Fiber.
Yeah, he's got a fiber.
Is Brian a Bills fan?
I don't know, actually.
Brian's in Syracuse.
He's a Giants fan. He's a Giants fan.
I respect you.
Actually, they had a great draft tonight, I think.
They did. Mad respect.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate you.
So the Packers are on the clock. Devin Lloyd, linebacker, going to Jacksonville.
Good pick.
So the Packers decided to go ahead and not take a receiver. Is there any way that they, again, pass on wide receiver here?
They can't. Who? Okay, Devontae Adams
just
is no
give
longer
the middle finger to the quarterback they just made the highest paid quarterback like just a couple months ago. Like,
literally,
you, Aaron Rodgers.
Come on, Aaron, just pick up the phone. Do whatever you got to do. Like how they're not going to address this right now would be beyond me. Like so many other teams have traded up to go get their receiver in this draft. How the Packers are not seeing that action and doing something to change this pace so that they can get a good weapon for Aaron is just beyond me.
Yeah,
Christian Watson is my guy.
I did a segment last week about the winners and losers of current players for teams in the NFC North based on the results of this draft, I guarantee the Packers select a receiver. They better do it. If I've never been wrong, you both can vouch for me. It's all about the gut and making sure you feel it. I feel my gut, and that's probably, you know, the 7 of these mill dogs that I've took down here this fine evening. But it could also just be that it's a good feeling about they're going to pick a receiver, and I'm a prognosticator. It's what I do best, and that's really what I'm looking for here, to
I miss you and your big
prognosticate.
words. I love it. Yeah. Good word usage. Wait, what was the dinner then, Bucks, to go with all these beers? Was it nachos?
What did I have? No, it was close though. I had
Oh.
half a quesadilla for lunch at Miguel's. No,
That was
free
going to be
ad.
my other guess.
Damn,
Yeah,
I was
so
gonna go quesadilla too, Buck.
It was a beautiful quesadilla. I mean, just, you know, great jack cheese up in there, and then you had mushrooms, peppers, onions, chicken. It was a fancy quesadilla, so I could only eat half of it for lunch, and I enjoyed the other half here for dinner with some rice and beans on the side. It was delightful. My stomach loves me right now.
I love it. That's awesome. I don't know how my
Devin
stomach
Lloyd's a
feels
good
about-
pick.
Devin Lloyd is a good pick. I was just going to say, I don't know how my stomach feels about going from mango White Claws to doing some shots of Screwball in the middle, but future me will worry about that tomorrow. When I'm at
Listen,
work.
Sam, we've
Does anybody
made
have a bad feeling about this? The Packers are not going to take a wide receiver. I just get a gut feeling they're not going to take a wide receiver.
they have to.
They have to.
It would be the most Packers thing to do to like take a, I don't know, like a linebacker or a defensive lineman or something.
It would be. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd be more surprised. Well, no, I wouldn't be surprised. They're not going to do it.
For them to have Alan Lazard as their number 1 wide receiver and to go defense in this draft in the first round.
But who's
Okay. Tate, looking at this wide receiver class as what's left on the board, is this a draft where now you look at what's left and you say, okay, day 2 is just going to be a plethora of receivers going off the board because there's so much talent? Or are we in the middle of a drop off where it actually doesn't make sense for them to take someone here because they should wait till tomorrow?
No, I think the tier does drop for me. Anyway, I'm higher on George Pickens than most people are. I really think that he's got like AJ Green qualities to him as an X receiver on the outside. I really do. And then I think that Christian Watson, even though he went to a smaller school, I mean, he's a Tampa product, and I'm super high on him out of North Dakota State. They just didn't really throw the football all that much. But, I mean, if you were to see him at the Senior Bowl, he was tuning up NFL guys that are getting drafted right now, NFL corners. And if you would have thrown a Ohio State or Alabama helmet on him, you would have never known the difference. Like, that's how good he was. So, to me, Christian Watson, George Pickens, those 2 guys feel like a solid pick here. But then if they pass and they wait until the second round, you're looking at someone like Sky Moore, David Bell, like just the next tier down. It's not that they're bad players. It's just they're not top tier talents. They're guys that you already kind of have in Amari Rodgers and Alan Lazard. Like, get Aaron. You have Aaron freaking Rodgers. You just paid him. Like, get him a receiver for Christ's sake.
I like it when Tate gets so frustrated that he kind of turns into like a disc on a DJ's booth where it's just like, bidip, bidip, bidip. Like
I heard
it's like,
that too, Sam.
yeah, right.
The level
Did it?
change. The level.
Yeah.
That was a
change. I
good cut.
apologize.
That was a good cut.
Did it? It's like we're getting Tate the remix when he's upset.
Have Buck freestyle for me because I just
No,
can't.
zero free. No. We don't freestyle during draft season.
Well, the pick is in for the Packers, and because this draft is moving so quickly, even though the picks are coming in, they're doing all this shuffle stuff and getting other commercials in there because they weren't ready for picks to be in this fast. I'm annoyed. When the pick is in, show it to me now.
At what stage did you fail to recognize, Sam? It's not a criticism, but like you failed to recognize the only thing this league cares about is money. The draft is over. I guarantee it. The picks are in. Somebody has a cue card. They have to print these things. They have to deliver it. They have to get the presenters ready. It's done. The draft is over. We have 5 picks left. It is done, folks. We are living in the past, but the future. So it's back to the future, and that's where we live right now.
It's Back to the Future.
Think about the coordination that it takes here.
But that just completely removes the veil of mysticism and teams waiting on each other to see their next move. I can't believe that. I just can't.
I got an 8 a.m. tomorrow, folks.
Hang in there, Buck.
Wrap it up.
The draft's already over. Draft's already over, pal.
I'm very curious to see, though, where New England, Kansas City, Cincinnati, all 3 of those, very curious to see where they go. So I'm in if you'll have me.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate you jumping on. Tate surprised me. I wasn't expecting you. This is a lovely present.
You weren't aware?
I was not aware. He kept you a surprise from me.
Wow. Well, it's great seeing both of you and talking.
Surprise, baby. It's Bucky. No.
It's Bucks. Love Matt Bucks.
I like to have fun with my friends.
I miss Buck. Who did the Packers take, Sam? Who do we got?
It's got to be a wide receiver. If they don't, it's just confusing. I'm waiting for the pick to come in.
I think it's Pickens.
Goodell's talking. He's talking. He's talking.
Brian, don't tell us.
Who they should take is Pickens or Watson, but again,
Keep
I
it
think
a
they're going to
surprise. I'm waiting.
Brian Gutekunst.
Just not
This
okay.
is a huge fella.
It's from the Rams. Andrew
It's
Whitworth.
going to make me throw up. I'm going to go to the bathroom. The Packers are going to screw this up. I guarantee it.
Good vibes here, Sam. Wide receiver. I need to be right.
Okay, well, it looks like Andrew Whitworth is going to make the pick for the Packers right here. I believe he's retiring. Legend of a man.
How do helmets fit his head?
I mean, the same way they fit Peyton Manning's head. They just, custom.
Peyton's is mini compared to that.
It's like, I'm sure that it's a Dr. Scholl's kind of situation where every year they got to stick their head in a foam thing and then send it off for a new helmet every year. That's the reality I want to live in, that every year shove their heads in form-fitting foam. It's like, this is the most awkward part of training camp. Yeah, you got to do it every time.
That should be part of the NFL experience. They just have different players' helmets that you put on your head.
That would be funny because it would be like floating around on my dome, and I would feel like a child.
I'd be looking for the smallest head, and then I would just say, "You got a small head, guy." That's what I'd go for.
Goodness.
All right, here we go. Goodell doing the announcement.
Come on, let's go. Lots of talking. I feel like you're going to see it before me. Also, okay, wait, real quick. Bucks, did you watch that trailer that the Rams released?
I did. I did.
How hyped were you after you watched that? And they didn't even have a pick. I was thinking they were going to sneak in and trade in for a pick, and they haven't done it yet.
Defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt, Georgia.
Oh, my God.
No wide receiver. Unbelievable. Do you think
how the Packers screwed up?
Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle.
Oh my God, they took a defensive tackle.
Yeah, they did. They sure did.
Oh God.
Oh my.
Also, I see some weird comments, and I'm a guest on your show, but they're about me in a Speedo. Here's the deal. Have you ever seen an Ewok before? I look like an Ewok from Star Wars Return of the Jedi.
I don't know what this is.
Who brought this up?
I don't know. They're just comments.
Thank you.
Goodness.
I appreciate that. I've always wanted to address the situation with Buck and the Speedo.
Oh my God. Okay, but so Patriots are on the clock now. Do they trade this pick away? Okay, Will Jenkins jumping in the comments saying defense wins championships. It does, Will, but who is Rodgers going to throw the ball to? It can't just be Aaron Jones all day. Maybe it can. I don't know.
Buck, will you get out there and try out for the Packers, the wide receiver group?
I got hands. I don't think I have the agility nor the explosive speed to participate in the National Football League at this moment, Tate. But give me 3 months. Let me
wouldn't
talk
call
to you in
yourself
August.
explosive?
Give you 90 days.
90 days. Are you doing the TB12 again?
I am actually, except for the old carbohydrates.
Counting your macros? You just have to log it.
No, I just do smoothies, like cassava smoothies with frozen fruit, kale, a little bit of almond milk. It's delicious.
Nice.
3 times a
Nice.
day, except for
Good
the
to know.
quesadilla.
Say, well, draft day is a treat. I stopped and
It
picked up
is.
frozen pizza before I got home from work because I was like, I'm going to need to carb up because I know how many of these are going to go down. So it's a balance.
I hope you enjoyed it. Did you eat it yet? You wait until after the draft.
So I definitely made it. I have half a pizza literally sitting under my computer still because I've got like a little shelf. So I ate as much as I could before we went live, and I'm going to go and heat it back up so I can finish.
Show
my
me the
dinner.
pizza.
I've got 2 pieces. I got 2 pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes 101 with Buck.
Yes. Sam does have pizza. Just staring at her. But anyway. Okay, but the pick is in for the Patriots. Doesn't seem like they're going to do a trade. Where do we think they go here? I mean, Mac Jones looked fantastic last year. Do they go receiver here? Are there defensive positions you guys think fit better here? Where are you guys leaning?
Well, we had our guest Mike on earlier, who's a Patriots fan. He wanted them to go corner or linebacker. I think Nakobe Dean makes sense. If you want a rangy linebacker that I think makes a lot of plays, he makes sense. But they traded away Shaq Mason to the Bucks, which quality interior offensive lineman. The thing is that the top 3 interior offensive linemen I had on the top of my board are all gone. But I mean, like, I don't know, out of Chattanooga, maybe Cole Strange, but is really the highest upside guard I have left. But I still think that Colby Dean makes the most sense, or Jalen Petrie out of Washington. I think he's a really nice corner. That's who I like. Those are the 2 guys that are kind of coming to mind, like 3 guys that are coming to mind. I think that they'll go offensive line though, because the interior offensive line it's pretty thin in this draft. So if you don't get one of those pretty early, you're kind of rolling the dice. So I mean, Cole Strange has some nice things that make me think his upside is maybe where the Patriots go here, even though I think it's a bit of a reach.
So sorry, if it's offensive line, do you think that it's Zion Johnson then?
Zion Johnson's gone. He's already been selected.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, Zion Johnson's been gone. He gone.
Hey, pardon me, Tate, but Petrie, he's the shorter cornerback, correct?
Correct. And
he's like
he's from
5'10",
Baylor.
5'10"
He's not from Washington. He's Baylor. Sorry, he's Baylor.
But he's not tall, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
No, but his instincts are great, and I think he's got he's just
you
got
see him
some,
as a slot.
Yeah, I see him as like a nickel back. Exactly.
Yeah.
And someone like Bill Belichick and his son are going to find a perfect role for a guy that's got that type of versatility.
How is he off the edge?
I don't think that he's a howitzer as far as a blitzer goes. I mean, if you're talking about being able to bring pass rushing pressure from the slot,
that's Pat's ball. That's old school.
I get that, but I'm not saying that that's his strength. I'm not saying he's not capable of it. I just don't think he was really asked to do that a whole ton at Baylor. I thought that he sat on things and his instincts were great. He was flying downhill on some of the tape that I watched on him. I really liked his instincts. But I don't know if I would say that he's not the best blitzing DB in this draft. I guess that's not what you're drafting him for. If you want somebody to make plays in the box, give me Jaquan Brisker, Penn State, safety.
It was a guard. Cole Strange, Chattanooga.
I did mention him.
The
I don't like
mods.
that I'm on a delay.
Sorry, Sam.
There it is.
Back.
Cool.
Again,
Right.
I think that the reason why the Patriots traded down was because I think that they wanted to take Zion Johnson. And the fact that he was gone, they felt that they could trade back and get an interior offensive lineman that they liked still. And I still think that this is a reach for Cole Strange, but it makes sense. It addresses a need.
Yeah.
Boo! I'm sure that our friend Mike from Campus to Canton is pissed. He's not liking this pick.
I'm sure. He
I
said
wouldn't
that
if I were
whatever
him.
they pick is going to be the opposite of what he wanted. So
He did call that. He said Patriots fans are always upset in round one. It's like
Yes.
a yearly tradition. So, the Bucks don't get to make a pick. We got 3 more picks left: Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Minnesota. So, who do we see Kansas City going with? Another team that, on paper, I feel like could use a receiver, but is that the way Kansas City is going to go?
I could see him going a couple of different directions here. Well, there it is. It's edge rusher George Karlaftis.
Karlaftis.
That's a great name.
I can say that name. George Karlaftis. I was gonna say, wait, Bucks, you don't frequent Chipotle, do you?
I actually had a conversation about Chipotle that I'll keep confidential today regarding the state of the store. But yes, I've been, but it's not a frequenter for me.
No, I just asked because I placed an order. There's one near my work. In a pinch, I will run over there and grab lunch. But this week they were featuring players, like player meals you can order, so you can order what guys get. So you could order the George Karlaftis. It's it's triple steak, double rice, light cheese.
That's the Derek Tate.
Oh, that's me all day.
That's the Derek Tate.
What do you, George Karlaftis?
That sounds like no. Karlaftis stole that.
That's trademarked. That's bullshit.
Tate, if you need somebody to represent you, it is not me. I am not a lawyer. I do not practice the law, but I can help you. We can figure this out. That's a tater. That is not a George Karlaftis.
Tate meal? Really, Tate? Not even any beans? Just meat and rice, but a dusting of cheese. A dusting of cheese.
Sour cream. Yes,
a little sour cream, yeah. Which turns into liquid, which is another gripe I have. They put the sour cream next to the meat trays.
Stir.
That's why it is liquid. I want it to be sour cream, not sour white liquid. It came off weird.
All right. So we got George Karlaftis.
It's true, though. I mean, we all feel it.
You can tell we are in our almost 4th hour of talking.
We are like we're punch drunk at this point.
Yeah, it's happened. But okay, but let's talk about George Karlaftis. Tate, I'm sure that you've watched plenty of tape on Mr. Karlaftis. Why should Kansas City Chiefs fans be excited about this pick for them?
Well, because he gives you an instant upgrade to Michael Dana, first off, but second, I mean, like he's got like the profile of like a defensive end, but he's kind of a stand-up edge rusher. Like I mean, this guy is built like a brick wall. Like he moves very well. I mean, he's a little stiff for my liking, but he's got a hell of a bull rush. Like if you don't bring your lunch, he's gonna push you back into the quarterback. Like he's gonna take a right tackle and he's gonna put them right in the lap of the quarterback. I think that he gives you a lot to work with, including against anchoring down against the run. I think he just doesn't have a ton of athleticism because he's 275 pounds. Like he's huge. Like, he's not going to give you like that explosiveness and the bend off the edge that looks sexy with a whole ton of variety in his pass rushing moves. But as a guy that can kind of can set that edge and can also give you some pass rushing production as far as a bull rush goes, he can give you that. So I think I think he's a nice prospect and can give you a lot for a defense that really needs some pass rushing presence. Go Bucks.
I wouldn't want to fight the guy. I just saw him getting interviewed.
He's not someone you would want to bump into at the end of a night.
It's not that he looks mean. It's just that he's so damn intimidating. Like, I don't know how to react to that. You know, like I figure I'm pretty intimidating, but Karlaftis, keep me away from that fella.
Because I'm gonna say that he did look like his version of excited in that interview. You can tell he's excited, but I agree, it's an intimidating level of excitement.
Just a human being of pure intimidation.
Big dude. It's a big dude, man. Big dude. Yeah. So we got is it the Bengals on the clock?
Bengals are on the clock.
Pick is in.
And the pick is in. Is this going to be another offensive line position?
No, all the interior offensive linemen are gone, and they brought in Lyle Collins and Alex Kappa, and I don't think that they're going to take Bernard Ryman out of Central Michigan. I don't know if Bernard Ryman's a huge, upgrade.
I think.
You got Joe Mixon, so you don't need a running back. You got great receivers. Maybe Nakobe Dean?
That would make a whole lot of sense here.
I mean, you pair him with Logan Wilson at linebacker. I think it makes sense. But maybe Mafe, edge rusher from Minnesota. The Golden Gophers. The Golden Gophers.
Oh, the Gophers. Yeah. Good stuff.
Sky Yuma.
I like the Sky Yuma. Don't understand it at all. I don't speak Minnesotan.
Nor do I. I mean, Levy does. Skull Vikings. OG throwback, fantasy focused. Established 2016. So.
Love it. Also, Bucks, I do see you're wearing your Spurs jacket. How are your Spurs doing?
They're in 5th, and we're in a dogfight for 4th to get the Champions League. It's an uphill battle, Sam. We're like the band Lit. We are our own worst enemy. And
did you know they're doing a tour right now?
I don't live in LA, Sam, so no, I don't know that Lit is doing an LA small
They're
club
gonna be
tour.
at the House of Blues, and I saw it come across, and I was like, no one's gonna want to go with me. But the fact that you just made the reference, I'm like, there's still people out there that like Lit.
I never said I liked them. But that's how it is. No, I did mention them. They're always in the back of my brain. There's a lot of stupid things, as you know, Sam, in the back of my brain. But as it pertains to Spurs, we have to basically win out, and we get 4th or 3rd. 3rd is still in the cards, but we have to finish 3rd or 4th to retain our manager, it seems, because he's just like this weird Italian dude that just wants to pillage. Like, all he cares about is pillaging and winning trophies and getting gold. And we don't do that at Spurs. So, yeah, life is good. How are you doing?
Life is good. Life is good. Same old, always busy. And as usual, marathoning fantasy football podcasts per usual with my good friend Tater.
Tater's back with the hang time too, which I'm always
the hair is going up.
I knew you were gonna bring up the hair. Yes,
I want to try to get out of the frame.
I thought I could get to pick 32 to bring up the hang time, but I couldn't. There it is. Safety, Daxton Hill, Michigan.
Did they list him as a safety?
They did.
I mean, he kind of plays like nickel corner, though.
He's a nickel corner, yeah.
Yeah. No, he's versatile. I like that secondary that Cincinnati has, so it makes sense to kind of keep pumping blood into it, to say the very least. I like Cincinnati's defense. I like what Cincinnati's done this offseason, man. I don't think they're going anywhere, dude. I love Joe Burrow.
They're going no. They're definitely contenders
Sam.
for the future. I know. It sucks, but it's also I also love watching Joe Burrow too. So it's this weird bittersweet thing, kind of a situation for me because I love the way that Joe Burrow plays. I just hate that my Steelers have to play against him as often as we do. But
Buck
yeah,
and Josh Allen and Joey B and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, good golly, the AFC is and
Justin
Russell
Herbert.
Wilson,
Justin
Justin
Herbert.
Herbert is stacked. The AFC
No, it's
is
going to be
stacked.
crazy, man. This year, it's going to be a gauntlet in the AFC.
And the Raiders are no joke either with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. I mean,
Devontae Adams.
Woo!
Woof. Goodness. So it
Right,
looks like a
folks.
part of the trades that happened were Lions are no longer at 32. It is the Vikings here. But the pick is in. So we're about to wrap up the night, which is, it was a marathon. We're nearly at 4 hours straight.
I'm really
Sam,
happy
it was a pleasure.
y'all invited me on. At
I'm
least
so
Tate
excited
did.
that you joined.
Although I think Sam would have.
I would have. I don't know. I just didn't think. I thought you'd be busy, or deep
Doing
in
your
your
own
Miller Lite,
draft thing.
enjoying the draft,
or face first into a whole case of Miller Lights watching Tottenham Hotspur.
No, not quite. Not yet. Not yet. That's later in the evening.
later in the evening. Isn't it 11 where you're at? 11:30.
I don't really have a watch nor a phone, so carrier pigeons let me know when I need to rise.
So Tate sent you a carrier pigeon to get you on the show?
Well, we have quite the relationship, my carrier pigeon and I, and he knew that Tate might need me because Tate sent him back. Tate was using him for a bit. He sent him back. It wasn't a big deal, and we're just making our way about it. No big deal.
Pigeons are too slow. I went with ravens.
Well, they communicate. It's an
They
odd
do,
bird.
they do.
Both of them.
We can argue about this again. I know. It's fine.
But no,
Right.
seriously, thank you. In all seriousness, like this has been so much fun. It throws me back to times before. I know we spent many years on the mic together, so always
Yes.
good to shoot it with some good folks.
Absolutely. Always good to see you. And I always miss your references, your new words that you invent. They're very big words that I can never quite wrap my head
Cacophony?
around. But yeah, it's a cacophony. There's always a cacophony of grammar and words with Bucks that I love and enjoy every single time.
Thank you.
Derek and the Bullfrogs. So it's fine.
It was the Derricks and the Bullfrog, sir.
Sorry. My bad. Do we have a final pick, Samantha?
I'm waiting. It's still coming in. I don't know why I'm grabbing this. Why am I drinking this? I don't need to do this right now.
Is this where Malik Willis goes? Final pick of the first round. Kirk Cousins.
That could
Who knows
be.
how
No,
long
because
the
Kirk
man is-
Cousins is the $8 billion man. No, it isn't.
Has anybody
No shot.
played the free agent market better than Kirk Cousins over the
No,
last decade?
Kirk Cousins, he might be a better businessman than Bill Gates. Like Bill Gates has nothing on Kirk Cousins. Nothing.
Oh my God.
I bet you Bill Gates was never sleeping at times in his life. Kirk Cousins goes to bed at 8 o'clock. He rises at 8 a.m., 12-hour sleep every night, goes into his sauna, doesn't really care about anything. Bill Gates is out there grinding out code in his early 20s. He's trying to figure out how he revolutionizes the world. Trust me. I'd rather be Kirk Cousins than Bill Gates.
Hey, staff that. I love it. Okay, wait. So if they don't, I mean, what are the Vikings doing with this pick? I guess is what I'd like to say.
I think they go corner. Andrew Booth Jr. makes a hell of a lot of sense because they didn't get Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley, of course. They were sitting at 12, so it was highly unlikely they were going to get a corner, but they need help in that defensive backfield. So I'm thinking Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson makes a hell of a lot of sense. Or Petrie from Baylor.
I prefer Booth for the length, if nothing else there. Yeah. See, I thought it was for the Bills. I thought it was Elam or Booth. Didn't know which one, but I preferred Elam.
I think Elam, I don't know. I feel like fits that like culture mentality a little bit better there in Buffalo. Like, I mean, like it feels like almost like a chemistry fit, you know.
Well, the selection is in. Are you seeing it ahead of me, Bucks?
Lewis Seen, Georgia, safety, 6'2", 1/4, 199, 437 40.
He's another one of those safety hybrids that's kind of a tweener. So, but DB that can certainly come in and help day number one. So,
gotcha.
Makes sense. That's it, Sam.
We did it. We powered through. Thanks again, Bucks, for joining us.
Absolutely. So happy. You guys are great.
Thank
you. Man, Buck.
Cheers to you. Only good things to you.
I'll
Wishing
finish
you
the
well.
last one I had off.
Love it. Well, thanks everyone so much for tuning in to Dr. Roto's live NFL draft coverage. I am Sam Holt, joined as always by Derek Tate. And please give a warm shout out and loving welcome to our guest, Matt Bucks. We love him over from Fantasy Focused. If you haven't already, please check out all other content we have on Dr. Roto. Subscribe. We have so much amazing content coming to you for this off season, and we wish you nothing but wellness and enjoy the rest of this draft. I don't think that I will be here for day 2 because this was a lot, but we will have plenty of fun rookie content to come forward after the draft is completed. So thanks everyone who tuned in. We really appreciate you. Tate?
Well, it's just... it's near and dear to my heart that Matt Bucks is here with us. So, Matty B, thank you for joining us, man. Pleasure to have you.
Pleasure's all mine.
I just love you. That's all I want to say.
Listen, Kirby is still on the battlefield, sucking everything up, all the weapons, and blasting them right back at you. It's not a big deal.
Love it.
I would never mess with Kirby or you in a street fight. Point is, thank you for joining. Anybody that joined us live, again, you can find me at dtater4 on Twitter, at Bucks the59, at Samantha R. Holtz on Twitter, that is. And then there's, of course, Instagram, all the other places. Follow us, subscribe, all the above. Until next time, everybody, thank you for joining us for the 2022 NFL Draft. And until next time, later, says the Tater.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well